the 15th of April, the year 2026. You are right on time for the National Assembly plenary sitting. This is a broadcast that is streaming live from the National Assembly chambers, Parliament buildings in Nairobi. And it is a broadcast that is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in partnership with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Kamche Menza. It is 9:28 in the AM, just about 2 minutes to 9:30. That is the time allocated for the sitting of the National Assembly proceedings this morning. And we shall take a look at the business that the members of the National Assembly, as they convene for this Wednesday morning sitting, will be transacting. Being a Wednesday morning, however, it is a day that is set aside, or a sitting that is set aside for the consideration of private members' bills, for bills that are coming up for second reading to be able to be considered. And this morning, the members of the National Assembly shall pick up a debate on the Basic Education Amendment Bill, a bill originating from the National Assembly and sponsored by the Honorable Member for Mathare, Honorable Anthony Olwach. This is a bill whose debate on the floor of the House already kicked off. However, it was interrupted on the Wednesday of April 8th, the year 2026, during the morning sitting. And this morning, this particular business is lined up for consideration or for the debate to be able to continue. And this is basically a bill that seeks to amend the Basic Education Act 2013 to ensure alternative provision for basic education and training, abbreviated as APBET. Schools fall under the definition of basic education, and to provide for the mapping, recognition, registration, and provision of equivalent benefits to alternative provision of basic education training schools. And this is it indicates that the policy framework for alternative provision of basic education and training 2009 and the Basic Education Regulations 2015 recognizes different categories of APBET institutions, including adult and continuing education centers, non-formal learning centers, vocational training centers, alternative basic education programs, which can be referred to as non-formal schools, mobile schools, night schools, and home schools. However, presently there is no proper recognition of such schools in the Basic Education Act 2013. And this bill therefore seeks to streamline that Basic Education Act 2013 in line with the APBET Policy 2009 and the Basic Education Regulations 2015 to be able to enable it offer or be able to fully embrace and mainstream that APBET schools into the formal education structures or system. Taking a look at this bill in the Kenyan context is that this bill, some of the benefits or the importance of this particular bill include the expansion of access to education for all. Now, Kenya already guarantees education under the Constitution of Kenya 2010. However, many children still fall through the cracks. And this bill, therefore, seeks to ensure that there is provision of flexible learning options for out-of-school children. Also support non-formal education systems, for example, community schools and the mobile schools. Also, it will ensure that it reaches learners in marginalized areas, that is the arid and semi-arid regions or informal settlements. And this will help also reduce the number of children who never complete basic education. The bill will also help address diverse learning needs, whereby there have been scenarios where we have seen that not all learners succeed in traditional classrooms. So the alternative pathways for learners will also be able to ensure that learners are able to participate and reach their full potential in learning. And will also ensure that the education is tailored for gifted or differently abled students. Also, it can also be flexible schedules for learners facing social or economic challenges. And this ensures that it aligns with inclusive education principles supported by the Ministry of Education in the country. Regarding the bill is that also that particular amendment will also support school dropouts and re-entry. There have been cases of school dropouts in the country due to poverty, teenage pregnancies, child labor, among other factors that have been witnessed in the country. This particular amendment will be able to ensure that there is a re-entry programs giving second chances of education opportunities and also recognition of prior learning. And this is critical in improving retention as well as completion rates for the learners. The amendment will also help to align the education with competency-based curriculum, that is CBC, which emphasizes on skills. And therefore, debate on this bill, as I had indicated earlier, is that had already kicked off on the floor of the House. And therefore, this morning, it is part of the business that as the members convene for this sitting, they will be able to resume. There is a balance of 31 minutes for the members who may be interested to ventilate on this particular bill or give their opinions on this particular bill. The Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Gladys Boss, as we can see, she has already made her way into the chamber. Allow me to hand you over.
Honorable members, let us pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Sergeant at Arms, ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
Well, the prayer has been said and the chair taken. However, there is a quorum hitch. That is at the commencement of the House. And the Speaker has directed that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes, of course, to give room to the members of the National Assembly to be able to make their way into the House and enable the House attain that much needed quorum for it to be able to commence. And as we wait for that, we shall continue to take a look at the business that shall be transacted this morning in the plenary sitting. Now, pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 44, paragraph 2, part C, that that provides for the members of the National Assembly to be able to request for statements regarding matters concerning their constituencies or even matters relating to county, inter-county, national, regional, or even international concerns. This morning, the Honorable Member for Kitui West, Honorable Edith Nyenze, will request for a statement to the, or rather from the administration, from the Committee on Administration and Internal Security, and this regards the provision of motor vehicles to national government administration officers in Kitui West. And the same breath, the Honorable Member for Igembe Central, Honorable Daniel Karitho, will request for a statement from the Departmental Committee on Education. This regards the guidelines on participation of primary and junior secondary schools in core curricular activities. Still under the same standing order, the Honorable Member for Mvita, Honorable Mohammed Machele, also has a statement that he will be requesting from the Departmental Committee on Education. This regards the harmonization of house allowance and review of delocalization policy for teachers in Mombasa County. And the Honorable Member for Kwale County, Honorable Fatuma Masito, will also request for a statement from the Committee on Environment, Forestry and Mining regarding the mining exploration in Kwale County. This is as provided for in the House Standing Order number 44, paragraph 2, part C. These statements will be responded to by the relevant committees, as I had indicated in the, or rather earlier. This morning also, the members of the National Assembly shall be considering various motions. The motion by the Honorable Member Mary Wamaua on the sustainable management and valorization of organic waste from avocado processing is coming up for consideration. This is a motion that the member will, or rather the House will be resolving to the national government to be able to formulate an avocado waste management and valorization policy. This is to be able to provide for sustainable avocado waste management and valorization, including research, training, and technology transfer to farmers, and provision of processors on modern waste management and valorization practices with the aim of reducing pollution, improving public health, and creating jobs in the avocado producing regions. Also, this particular motion will be seeking to have the national government formulate an avocado waste management and valorization policy to provide for promotion of investment and innovation by providing subsidies, incentives, and technical support for waste to value initiatives such as biodigesters, biorefineries, and other circular economy solutions, and also collaboration mechanisms for the national government, the county governments, and private sector partners in sustainable avocado waste management and valorization. This is a motion that is lined up for consideration in today's order paper, or the business that is lined up to be transacted this morning or during this morning plenary sitting. Moving on, the members shall also be able to consider another motion by Honorable Rahab Mukami. This is a motion on the mandatory guidance and counseling program in all primary and secondary schools in Kenya. Now, the mover of the motion indicates that learners in primary and secondary schools across the country are increasingly exposed to social, psychological, and behavioral challenges, including drug and substance abuse, indiscipline, school unrest, and academic underperformance, and that there has been a disturbing rise in cases of sexual violence against children, including incidents where minors are abused or killed by individuals known to them, including relatives and caregivers, and hence exposing learners to trauma and long-term psychological harm. And that many learners come from homes affected by domestic violence, family instability, economic hardship, and other social pressures that adversely affect their emotional well-being, safety, and concentration in school. That guidance and counseling services in most primary and secondary schools remain informal, inadequately structured, and under-resourced, with no standardized national framework to ensure professionalism, accountability, and effective delivery. And that structured psychological support, life skills training, child protection awareness, and early intervention during formative years are very critical in safeguarding learners, strengthening their resilience, and also promoting discipline and improving academic outcomes. So it is on this backdrop that the Honorable Member Rahab Mukami, as she moves her motion, will have the House resolve that the government, through the Ministry of Education, introduces a mandatory, structured, and timetabled guidance and counseling program. And this is in all public, not just public, but also private, primary and secondary schools across the country. Also develop and implement a national policy framework providing for the recruitment, accreditation, and deployment of professionally trained school counselors. Also integrate mental health education, child protection awareness, personal safety training, and life skills development into the school curriculum. This motion will also seek to have the national government, through the Ministry of Education, allocate adequate resources to support counseling services in schools, and also establish clear coordination and referral mechanisms between schools, child protection institutions, and relevant government agencies to ensure effective safeguarding of learners. If you're just joining us, that the House is about to commence, there is a quorum hitch, and the Speaker has directed that a 10-minute quorum bell be on. However, we have seen more members making their way into the chamber, and we believe in a short
Agenda
while.
times, you can
The quorum
ring
has
the
been
bell for an
attained. Allow
additional
me to
5
hand you
minutes.
over. Good morning.
We are almost there.
All right, we shall continue to take a look at that business that is lined up for consideration. The Speaker has indicated that the quorum is about to be attained, so we shall continue to take a look at the business that they shall transact once the House corrects. The motion by the Honourable Member for Kilifi County, Honourable Gertrude Mbeyu, regarding a policy to develop a structured engagement of National Youth Service graduates as security officers in government institutions is also lined up for consideration this morning. This is a motion that seeks to have the national government develop and implement a policy framework and guidelines to steer government ministries, departments, and agencies on prioritization of engagement of the National Youth Service graduates to provide supplementary security services to public entities, and also develop and implement a policy framework and guidelines to steer the government, ministries and departments and agencies on the criteria for determination of a formula for allotment of a quota of provision of security services in public entities to the National Youth Service graduates, commonly referred to as NYS, and private security services firms, and also steer government ministries and departments and also agencies on modalities for structured recruitment, deployment, and terms of service, including remuneration, training, and career progression for the NYS graduates that are engaged to provide supplementary security to government entities. Now, the mover of the motion, the basis of this particular motion is that there are approximately 18,000 youth graduates from the National Youth Service annually, and that Article 55 of the Constitution requires the state to take measures, including affirmative action programs, to ensure that the youth access training, employment, and opportunities to participate fully in the social, economic, and political life of the nation. That the government has in the recent years rolled out deliberate programs that are aimed at equipping the NYS graduates with skills for employment into the disciplined services and key sectors, which include agriculture, construction, and security. That the government institutions continue to engage private security firms to supplement the uniformed officers in providing security services, hence incurring significant recurrent expenditure. And that the NYS graduates possess foundational training in discipline, security awareness, public service ethics, and emergency response, making them suitable for deployment within government institutions, and that there is need. All right, we can see the Sergeant at Arms lifting a white paper that signals that the quorum has been attained. We just wait for the Speaker to call the House to order for the business to be able to commence. However, the quorum, or we can authoritatively say that the quorum has been attained. As we wait for that, I should wind up on this a particular motion that there is need to have a balanced approach that promotes youth employment through structured engagement of the NYS graduates, while also preserving opportunities for private. All right, allow me to hand you over. Good morning.
Sergeant at Arms, you may stop the quorum bell. We can start. First order.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
We have papers from Honorable Wamushomba, member for Githunguri.
Honorable Speaker,
Oh, hold on a minute. I think the first one is the chairperson for the Departmental Committee on Health. He's not in, so we can move to the next one. Is there any member from the committee who's been tasked with the vice chair? Yes, sir. Yes. Lay the paper. Proceed, Vice Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 15th April 2026. Report of the Departmental Committee on Health on the inquiry of the alleged malpractice and ethical breaches of kidney transplant services at Medill Group of Hospitals. I beg to lay it, Madam Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Health. Vice Chair.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that this House adopt the report of the Departmental Committee on Health on its inquiry into the alleged malpractice and ethical breaches of kidney transplant services at Medill Group of Hospitals, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 15th April 2026.
Thank you. Next, the Honorable Member for Githunguri, Honorable Wamushomba. The notice of motion.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion. That agriculture remains the backbone of Kenya's economy, contributing substantially to the gross domestic product, rural employment, and foreign exchange earnings, with the key export crops such as tea, coffee, avocado, cut flowers, macadamia nuts, cashew nuts, and related horticultural produce, collectively accounting for a significant share of the country's total export value. Further aware that these commodities are largely produced for the export market, positioning Kenya as a global leader in cut flowers exports, one of the Africa's largest producers and exporters of avocado and macadamia nuts, and major supplier of tea and coffee, noting that the commencement of the duty-free access to the Chinese market for this product effective May 2026 present a historic opportunity to widely expand export earnings, create thousands of rural jobs, promote value addition, and strengthen the country's position in global agricultural trade, concerned that the high cost of electricity in Kenya as evidenced by commercial and industrial rates significantly exceeding those of regional competitions such as Ethiopia and Tanzania, continues to erode the competitiveness of export-oriented agriculture by inflating the cost of critical operations such as irrigation, cold chain storage, and logistics, processing, drying, grading, packaging, and other value addition additives essential for meeting stringent international quality, food safety, and phytosanitary standards. Cognizant that affordable and reliable power supply is a critical input for smallholder farmers, farmers cooperatives, aggregators, agro-processors engaged in these export crops, further cognizant that the lack of targeted electricity subsidies has led to reduced profitability, discouraged investment in modern technologies such as solar-assisted irrigation and energy-efficient cold rooms, and increased vulnerability to global price volatility and climate shocks, acknowledging that whereas the National Energy Policy 2025-2034 and the Policy Framework for Sustainable Financing and Subsidy Management in Agriculture provide a broad foundation for targeted interventions, no specific mechanism exists on subsidized electricity tariffs exclusively for export-oriented agricultural production, processing, and related infrastructure. Now, therefore, this House resolves that the Cabinet Secretary for Energy and Petroleum formulates a national policy on power subsidies for export-oriented agricultural production that provides for tiered electricity tariffs, subsidies, including off-peak and off-time use rates, exclusively for registered producers, cooperative societies, processors, and exporters of coffee, tea, avocado, cut flowers, macadamia, cashew nuts, and other designated export crops. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
The first question is by Honorable Tandaza, member for Matuga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to ask question number 012 or 2026 to the National Land Commission. Could the Commission, Roman 1, explain why the persons affected by the project in Matuga constituency, whose land was compulsorily acquired for the construction of the Dongokundu Bypass Project Phase 3, have not been paid despite the Kenya National Highways Authority having disbursed the money for payment. 2, clarify whether Mr. Abdullahi Ali Mwakunena of ID number 9394540 and Ms. Fatuma Ali Mwakunena of ID number 319-56978, who respectively were the landowners of LR number Kwale/Ngombeni/756 and LR number Kwale/Ngombeni/749, were duly compensated considering they were requested to open bank accounts in the year 2025 for compensation, and if not, provide reasons for the delays. 3, consider factoring the inflationary changes to the compensation awarded since 2019 to date and state the time frame within which the persons affected by the project will be compensated, considering the bypass project phase 3 has since been completed. Madam Speaker, I would want to get another extra 2 minutes on this question because it has been here since the 12th Parliament, with your permission. Madam Speaker, it's worth noting that the last time this question came before the House, there was a reply that these people will be paid in 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks passed. The National Land Commission officials went to the ground, did verification, and told the people to open bank accounts. What is the problem is that the officers told those people affected that unless they are willing to bribe them sometimes with as much as 500,000 for them to get their money, they will never get their money. 1 year down the line, they have not gotten their money. I did call the finance officer 2 weeks ago, and he was surprised that they had not received their money from where he sits. So this question, Madam Speaker, is so critical to the chairman and the National Land Commission to come clear on why they are putting unnecessary demands on the people affected, that they need to be bribed first before they wire their money. The accounts are open, but they told them flatly, if you don't give us what we need to agree, we'll never do this payment. So I hope the answer to this question will also address that issue, not another time frame that they'll be paid, and yet there is a restriction that they need to bribe these officials before they are paid. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. This question shall be replied to by the Departmental Committee on Lands. Any member of the Departmental Committee on Lands who can give a confirmation? Any member of the Departmental Committee? Okay, Honorable Wako, maybe you can give an undertaking as leadership on behalf of that committee. Give her the mic.
Honorable Speaker, I'll make sure that the chairman will give the response in 2 weeks' time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have statement requests. The first one is by the Honorable Member for Kitui West, Honorable Edith Nyenze.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I request for a statement regarding the provision of motor vehicles to National Government Administration offices in Kitui West constituency. Honorable Speaker, first one to Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the Chairperson Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding provision of functional motor vehicles to the National Police Service and National Government Administration offices, GAO, in Matinyani and Kitui West sub-counties. Honorable Speaker, the motor vehicle leasing program, which was initiated in 2013, was designed to enhance the mobility of the National Police Service and National Government Administration offices, thereby facilitating the effective provision of crucial security and administrative services. The program has progressively increased the availability of vehicles for police operations, resulting in quicker response times, improved feasibility, and enhanced service delivery across the country. Honorable Speaker, despite the importance of this program, the Deputy County Commissioners for Matinyani and Kitui West sub-counties, the only 2 sub-counties in Kitui West constituency, have been without functional vehicles since the expiry of their previous lease agreements is in 2022. Regrettably, neighboring sub-counties within Kitui County have already received vehicles through renewed lease agreements. This discriminative consideration has created disparities in service delivery and resulted in delayed responses in security and administrative needs in the affected areas. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the following. Number 1, the reasons for the delay in delivery of motor vehicles and the renewal of motor vehicle leasing agreements for the National Government Administrative offices in Matinyani and Kitui West sub-counties, which have been forced to operate without functional vehicles since the year 2022. Number 2, the steps being taken to provide the 2 sub-counties with motor vehicles, considering that the sub-counties within Kitui West constituency have not received their vehicles. And number 3, the measures put in place to ensure alternative means of transport are provided to the affected areas as the renewal of leases and the provision of vehicles is being finalized. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
That will be responded to by the Committee on Administration and Internal Security. Honorable Russell, I see you're the one who's here. Give Honorable Russell the mic.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, what Honorable Nyenze raises is a significant matter that is already before the committee. And we are in discussion with both the National Police Service and the Ministry of Interior, because we have increased the number of sub-counties by over 250 and the police stations by over 500. This is colossal amount of resources is required at the ground, but there's no commensurate budgetary allocation. So for that reason, we'll respond to her in 2 weeks, but also we'll ask the ministry to consider our case within the priority that is already on the table. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
So that will be in 2 weeks? Thank you, Honorable Russell. Next, we have a statement request by the Honorable Carrido, member for Igembe Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 442C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Department Committee on Education regarding guidelines on the participation of primary and junior secondary schools in co-curricular activities. Honorable Speaker, on 13 February 2024, the Minister of Education issued interim guidelines for curricular activities undertaken in primary and junior secondary schools. These guidelines established a framework for the participation of primary and junior secondary schools in the annual school calendar, designating the Kenya Primary School Sports Association, KEPSA, to manage these activities on an interim basis. They further required education directors at sub-county, county, and regional levels to nominate caretaker committee from existing KEPSA structures for oversight and coordination. Honorable Speaker, notably, these guidelines imposed stringent age restrictions by limiting participation in these activities to those under 12 years for primary schools and under 15 years for junior secondary schools. This capping excludes certain learners and denies them equal opportunities to participate in sports, music, and other creative arts, potentially and learning capable students, especially those transitioning to sport-based pathways and the competency-based curricula, CBC. These restrictions undermine the holistic development principles enshrined in the Basic Education Act. Honorable Speaker, it's against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Department Committee on Education on the following. Plans being put in place for review of the guidelines to align them with the requirements of the Basic Education Act on holistic development. Steps being taken to make the guidelines more appropriate and inclusive for sports, music, and creative arts, including measures to address equity gaps in participation across regions, and measures being taken by the Ministry of Education for monitoring the effectiveness of the Kenya Primary School Sports Association, KEPSA interim management role, and the nominated caretaker committee as of county, and regional levels in managing school sports. I thank Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. That will be answered by the Departmental Committee on Education. Any member of Education Committee who can give an undertaking? Yes, Honorable Professor Barto.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, I undertake to communicate to the chair and the members of the committee, and I think We'll give feedback in the next 2 weeks.
Thank you. Next is a statement request by the Honorable Member for Moita, Honorable Mahmoud Machele.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Pursuant to the Provisional Standing Order 44.2c, I rise to request for a statement from the Chairperson of Departmental Committee on Education regarding the harmonization of house allowance and review of delocalization policy for teachers in Mombasa County. Honorable Speaker, Mombasa is the second largest city in Kenya and among the most expensive to live in. Despite the high cost of housing, the Teacher Service Commission, TSC, continue to categorize Mombasa under Cluster 2, while Nairobi is classified as Cluster 1 as a result in a wide disparity in house allowances. For example, teachers in job group C5 earning 25,000 shilling in Mombasa, comparable to Nairobi, 35,000 in Nairobi. While those in D1, D3 earning 28,000 Kenya shilling in Mombasa against 25,000 in Nairobi. This disparity demoralizes teachers in Mombasa who struggle to afford decent housing despite working in a city with a cost of living comparable to Nairobi. Making matter worse, the TSC continue to enforce the delocalization policy under which teacher promoted to administration positions such as head teacher or deputy head teacher are transferred outside Mombasa County. This is not only disturb family, but also reduce their house allowances when moved to low-cost cluster, effectively turning promotion into financial demotion. This policy is both unfair and counterproductive. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement for the Chairperson Departmental Committee on Education on the following. 1, a report on the reason for the continued classification of Mombasa City under Cluster 2, despite the high cost of living comparable to Nairobi City. 2, clarification on the criteria for clustering house allowances and whether the TSC has conducted any recent cost of living assessment on urban area and the cities, especially Mombasa City, to inform the house allowances. 3, step being taken by the TSC indicate to harmonize the house allowances for the teachers in Mombasa and those in Nairobi, given the comparable cost of living. 4, mechanism in place to caution teachers affected by the policy, by the delocalization policy from reduction of house allowances upon promotion to low-cost cluster region. And 5, the step being taken to report delocalized teachers moved through promotion back to their previous preferable station in line with the government commitment and end punitive transfer. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. That also again will be responded to by the Departmental Committee on Education. Honorable Ikiara, you want to say something before Professor Bartow responds?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to support the Honorable Member on this concern that he's raising on the disparities in the house allowance of teachers. Honorable Speaker, there should be a clear policy where if cities have been designated and gazetted, teachers in those areas must enjoy, should enjoy house allowance equivalent to other cities. Honorable Speaker, I support that statement.
Thank you, Professor Bartow, on behalf of the committee.
Madam Speaker, I undertake to communicate to the chair and the rest of the members of the committee, and we endeavor to give feedback within 2 weeks from today.
Thank you. Next is we have a statement request by the Honorable Fatuma Masito, member for Kwale County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have a request for statement regarding mining exploration in Kwale County. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44.2C, I wish to request for a statement from the Chairperson of Departmental Committee on Environment, Forestry, and Mining regarding the proposed mining activities in Kwale County. Honorable Speaker, in January 2026, the Ministry of Mining, Blue Economy, and Maritime Affairs announced a proposed mining project in Mrima Hills, Kwale County. The ministry indicated plans to undertake exploration of rare earth minerals and niobium in the area. While the discovery and development of mineral resources present an opportunity for national economic growth and local development, the proposed project has raised concern among residents due to limited public information, and certainly regarding the scope of project and fear of possible displacements, environmental degradation, and the potential impact on livelihoods. Additionally, residents are keen on the modalities in the place for revenue sharing for benefits of local communities. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the Chairperson of Departmental Committee on Environment, Forestry, and Mining on the following. A detailed report of the current status and scope timelines of the proposed mining project in Mrima Hills, Kwale County. Number 2, a report of public participation and community engagement undertaken by the government and relevant agencies on the proposed exploration activities, including outcome of the exercise. Number 3, the environmental and social impact assessment conducted, including measures to safeguard biodiversity, cultural heritage, sites, and community livelihoods. Number 4, the proposed framework for benefits sharing between national government and the locals, including community social responsibility obligations, if any, earmarked for the community. And 5, plans for resettlement of affected residents and the framework in place to ensure fairly and timely compensation where necessary. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Tandaza.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I rise to support a detailed answer on that statement, given that previously we've had the biggest mining activity in the whole of Republic in the form of base titanium in Kwale in the same area. While the Mining Act is very clear that out of the royalties, 70% remains with the national government, 20 to the county, and 10 to the community. To date, 10 years, in fact 12 years later, because they stopped mining after 10 years, the community is yet to receive the 10%, which is in law, which is in the act. Now, there is the other proposed mining, as my colleague has stated, on the rare earths. That's where the problem now comes with the community. So, as they respond to that statement, I think it is also, in the same breath, try also to make good for the wrongs done. Otherwise, the community will always be apprehensive when it comes to the issues of mining in Kwale, given that previously they never got their due share. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
This will be responded to by the Committee on Environment, Forestry, and Mining. Any member who can give an undertaking on behalf of that committee? Okay, in their absence, Honorable Wako.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The committee will give the response in 2 weeks' time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 8, the Universities Amendment number 5 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 79 of 2023. Second reading, mover to reply.
Thank you. It was the mover to reply, Honorable Gadiru.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I like to reply and on the outset, to sincerely thank honorable members for the very rich, thoughtful, and constructive debate that the bill has generated. Honorable Speaker, what we have witnessed in this House is not just a debate on the bill, it is a serious national conversation on the future of our education system. And I must say, the obligations made have significantly strengthened both the intent and direction of this registration. Honorable Speaker, allow me to begin by appreciating honorable members who have supported this bill and clearly articulated its necessity. Honorable Speaker, I thank Honorable Mwago, who ably seconded the bill and lightfully framed it as a restoration of order within our higher education system. I also wish to thank Honorable Lahim Dawood, who strongly supported the separation of mandate while reminding us the need to strengthen TVET institution and protect students during transition. Honorable Speaker, I equally appreciate Honorable Gideon Oshanda, who took us back to the time when our education system had clear progression pathway and warned us against losing the structure. Further, I wish to acknowledge Honorable Daktari James Nyakil, who reminded this House very profoundly that the primary mandate of university is research and generation of knowledge. That point, Honorable Speaker, goes to the very heart of this bill. I also wish to appreciate Honorable Komingoi, Honorable Dakwa, Honorable Rahim Mukami, and Honorable Gishimu, who raised critical issues around regulatory overlap, certification standards, and needs to define what a university truly is. Honorable Speaker, I also wish to acknowledge with equal respect those honorable members who expressed reservations and caution. One, Honorable Kwenya, who spoke about infrastructure and institutional impact. Honorable Tu defended university autonomy. Honorable Obaka raised a concern on access to financing. And Honorable Sabina Chege emphasized on progression pathways. Honorable Ruto spoke to equity, especially in marginalized areas. And Honorable Mili challenged us to ground these reforms in international best practice. Honorable Speaker, these views are not in opposition of the bill. They are guiding its refinement, and I thank members for that. Honorable Speaker, let me now come to the central issue before us. The problem we are addressing is clear. We have, over time, created a system where roles are bald, where university and TVET institutions overlap in mandate, where regulatory bodies duplicate functions, and where certification lacks uniformity. The result in this confusion, that is confusion for students, confusion for employers, and ultimately weakening our education system. Honorable Speaker, allow me to be very clear that this bill does not eliminate opportunities. It organizes it. It does not take away certificates or diplomas. It does not deny access. What it does is ensure that each institution play its proper role. Training is delivered at appropriate level and quality in maintained across the system. Honorable Speaker, a key issue that has arisen in this debate is the praise of specialized institutions such as the Kenya Medical Training College, maritime academies, and defense institutions. These institutions are critical in our national development, and I want to assure the House that this bill does not seek to undermine them. On the contrary, at the committee stage, we shall introduce amendments. One, formally recognize these institutions within the national framework, allow them to continue operating under their established status, and also ensure that they align to national standards and quality of certification. Because, Honorable Speaker, specialization must be preserved, but regulations must be harmonized. Honorable Speaker, another critical issue raised, and lightly so, is the question of certification. Today, universities design, examine, and certify their own diploma and certificate programs, while TVET institutions operate under standardized national framework. This creates inequality, it creates inconsistency, and it creates unfair advantage in the job market. Honorable Speaker, going forward, we must adopt simple but firm principle: one level, one standard, one examining framework. And for that reason, at the committee of the whole House, I will be moving amendments to ensure that any university that wish to offer diploma or certificates program must align with the TVETA regulatory framework. Such programs must meet national standards, and certifications must be standardized across the country. This is not about limiting university. It is about ensuring fairness, credibility in our education system. Honorable Speaker, let me also assure the House on one of the very important matter. No student will be disadvantaged. All students currently enrolled will be allowed to complete their programs, and the institution will transition in orderly and structured manner. Honorable Speaker, the bill also strengthens progressive pathways. A student will be able to move from certificate to diploma to degree and to postgraduate level in a clear, structured, and predictable manner. And in doing so, we will ensure that no learner is locked out of the opportunities. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of international best practice, which was slightly raised, globally, successful education systems maintain clear institutional rules. For example, Harvard University offers certificate programs primarily as professional and postgraduate development programs, not as a substitute for its core degree mandate. Similarly, University of Oxford offers diploma and certificate through structured continuing education framework, while maintaining its core focus on research and advanced learning. Honorable Speaker, this is exactly the direction that this bill is taking. Honorable Speaker, arising from the contribution of the honorable members, I will be moving amendments at the committee stage of the whole House to, number one, recognize specialized institution. Number two, to align diploma and certificate program at TVETA, to strengthen transition provisions, allow limited specialized exemptions, enhance progression of pathways, and finally to harmonize regulatory framework. Honorable Speaker, before I conclude on the proposed amendment, allow me to highlight one important issue that was raised by the honorable members, particularly Honorable Geshimo Gedeji. The current University Act does not explicitly define what a university is. Honorable Speaker, this is not a minor omission. It is, in fact, at the center of confusion, and we are trying to cure, because without clear statutory definition, one, institution drift from their core mandate. Number two, regulatory boundaries become blurred, and the identity of university as a center of higher learning and research is weakened. Honorable Speaker, for this reason, the Committee of the Whole House, I will be moving specific amendments to introduce a clear legal definition of university to anchor it as an institution of higher learning, higher education learning, focus on teaching, research, and innovation, and authorized to add postgraduate qualifications. Honorable Speaker, this definition will ensure university remains true to its purpose, policy direction is clear, and future deviation will be prevented. And in this regard, Honorable Speaker, allow me to invite all honorable members to feel free and bring forward their proposals and actively participate in unleashing the bill at the committee stage. This is where the legislation of the House. Honorable Speaker, at the core of this bill, Honorable Speaker, please add me just a single minute to be able to complete. At the core of this bill, the guide and the simple principles. Differentiation strengthens systems, deprecation weaken.
Allow him time to finish.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the definition will ensure university remain true to its purpose, policy direction, and future deviation prevented. And in this regard, Honorable Speaker, allow me to invite all honorable members to feel free, bring forward their proposal, and actively participate in unleashing this bill at the committee stage. This is where we perfect registration as a house. Honorable Speaker, as it is core, this bill is guided by simple principle. Differentiation strengthens system, deprecation weakens them. Honorable Speaker, this House has interrogated the bill, it has refined it, it has strengthened it. The question before us now is that whether reform is necessary, but how best we perfect it. I therefore urge the honorable members to support the bill at the second reading and to actively engage at the committee stage so that together we can deliver coherent, fair, and future-ready education system for Kenya. Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members, I now put the question that the University's Amendment Number 5 Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 79 of 2023 be now read a second time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Universities Act. Order number 9, the Basic Education Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 3 of 2025. Second reading, resumption of debate.
Honorable members, this bill has 31 more minutes. And those members who want to continue with this debate, kindly press the intervention button. Okay, Honorable Tandaza, you wanted to contribute? Honorable Bayu, did you want to contribute to this? Okay. I can see Honorable Carrido also is on the... Kindly press the intervention button. So far, only Honorable Tandaza has indicated. Okay, Honorable Tandaza needs a few more minutes. Anyone else who wants to contribute? Honorable Dorothy, I can see you've pressed. You're on the list. Honorable Esther Passaris also is on the list. Professor Barto is also on the list. Who else? Okay. Okay, Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe, or while we wait for Honorable Tandaza, you may proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me to appreciate the Honorable Anton Oluoch, the great member of Parliament for Madari, for thinking fit to assist the Kenyan children with the amendment of the Basic Education Act. Honorable Speaker, basically, this bill seeks to incorporate those disadvantaged schools, not just in the cities and urban cities and centers only, but also, Honorable Speaker, it also touches on some schools in rural constituencies. That, Honorable Speaker, it is a rule that before you register a school in the country, you must have a particular number of acreages. You must have some kind of other assigned infrastructure so that you register schools, Honorable Speaker. The question that lingers in our heads, Honorable Speaker, which I want to support the Honorable Member, is that where is the Bill of Rights, Honorable Speaker? The right to life, the right to education. Article 43, Honorable Speaker, talks about the right to education, which does not discriminate that you have to be educated through a particular, a certain setup, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, it allows you to look at what is it that establishes a school. And, Honorable Speaker, it is important to look at the few that have been disadvantaged. You might get a donor, Honorable Speaker, from overseas. You might get a church beginning an institution within its compound, Honorable Speaker. They have a capability of establishing a school, notwithstanding the kind of acreages that they have. And, Honorable Speaker, that has been limiting, that you must have 2 acres of land for you to register a school. But this bill, Honorable Speaker, provides that you should consider the establishment of the church, the morals of the church, the morale of the institution that's establishing the institution, Honorable Speaker, which I feel it is important. And I want to set an example, Honorable Speaker, of the various churches. Allow me to quote in my constituency. You might find a small church with an acre of land. It has students, Honorable Speaker, maybe amounting to 40, 45. They cannot be listed and registered, Honorable Speaker. Yet they have the capability to assemble those 45 children to undertake their studies. The question is, why can't we make it normal, make it be known that this can be an institution of learning? And, Honorable Speaker, looking at the past, how did the Catholics manage to set up good institutions? Because, Honorable Speaker, it was through the church. First, you had to go to a Sunday school, appear in church, be a churchgoer, so that you attend the services and sermons of the church, and then you are able to admire the study from the church, Honorable Speaker, to the academic level. But here is a situation, Honorable Speaker, where we are setting up a standard in terms of the acreage of the size. Yet, Honorable Speaker, our own laws have already registered this as an institution of assembly, being a church. All we have to caution, Honorable Speaker, is the entrance of NGOs. Whereas NGOs are good, Honorable Speaker, the kind of transfer of their culture, the culture of an institution, an NGO from the West to us, should be looked at, Honorable Speaker. Let us not just be able to register a school against an NGO, Honorable Speaker, without understanding the culture behind that NGO. Let it be an NGO, Honorable Speaker, that will also come in and respect our own culture. How do people of Kenya behave? How do people of Mount Kenya behave? How do people of Western behave? The culture of the local institution should be taken care of. Let the NGO, Honorable Speaker, support the establishment of the school, support the infrastructure, but respect, Honorable Speaker, the local well-being and the local culture of our people. So that it's not just the issue of money buying our culture. No, let money support our culture. Let money improve on our culture by giving us the knowledge in terms of transfer of knowledge through learning institutions. I want, Honorable Speaker, to cite a school in my constituency, which it had suffered a setback for almost 15 years, and it had struggled to come up. Luhuna Primary School, Honorable Speaker, is a school I founded for the last about 3 years. I've said it now, but it has been there, Honorable Speaker. The initial classrooms had been there for more than 15 years, and whenever they could begin, they collapsed. I want to thank Bishop Hamala, the MP for Lurambi, who is also the bishop of that school. We united, we held our hands together. They helped the Honorable Speaker to put in, but it was not able to take off. I want to thank the Catholic Church. When they came on board, Honorable Speaker, 3 years ago, they took the leadership, approached me, and we have set up the school. And Honorable Speaker, today, Luhuna Primary School is a school as it is, courtesy of the Catholic Church, Honorable Speaker, and the input of the NGCDF. So I want to agree with the Honorable Member for Madari that let us consider and open it wide. Basic education is a provision in law, in the Constitution. Let us give chance to institutions, Honorable Speaker, that can help achieve and actualize Article 43, read together with the relevant regulations. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to support.
Okay, Honorable Tandaze.
Asante sana kwa kunipatia hii fursa. Kwanza nimshukuru Mheshimiwa Loch kwa kuja na huu mswada ambao ni wa maana na umekuja kwa wakati wake. Kwa kifupi hata nitasema umechelewa kwa sababu kwa sisi wengine hasa jamii ya Kiislamu tunajua kwamba watoto wetu huwa wanaenda madrasa kuanzia wakiwa wadogo sana. Ule wakati ambao huwa wanahitajika wawe katika hizi shule za kawaida ambayo vipengee vya hivi sasa ndio inatambua kwamba ndio shule pekee yake ambayo inatakikana mtoto aende. Hapa imeregesha nyuma sana jamii ya Kiislamu kwa sababu mzazi anakuwa anatatizika mtoto aende madrasa ama asiende madrasa aende shule ya kawaida. Na unajua madrasa ni njia mojawapo ya mtoto kusoma, kuna masomo tofauti, lakini kwa hivi sasa huwa haitambuliki kwamba wakati ule ambao ameenda madrasa pia ni wakati ambao ameenda shule. Nimeona katika hii sheria ambayo Mheshimiwa Alocha ameweza kuleta kwamba ni wakati serikali ama wizara vifungu vya elimu viweze kutambua njia mbadala ya watu kwamba wanaweza kusoma mbali tu na kuwa na zile shule ambazo kwa kawaida huwa zina vipengee vyake vya kuwa visajiliwe, tuweze kutambua sehemu zingine mbadala. Na hapa ningesisitiza sana ili swala la kwamba vile wale ambao wanaenda madrasa kuwe na walimu mbali na walimu wa madrasa, kwa sababu madarasa huwa wako nayo, vikalio wako navyo, stima ziko na vitu vingine viko, basi iweze kutambulika kwamba walimu hawa ambao wamesajiliwa na bodi ya TSC waweze kupelekwa pale ili waweze kuwafundisha watoto hawa ile silabi ambayo inahitajika. Hapa ikifanyika itakuwa imewiana pamoja na katiba ambayo imesema kwamba ni haki ya kila mtoto kuweza kupata elimu ya kimsingi. Pili, pia ningetaka kumshukuru sana alipozungumzia swala la hii bodi ya kaunti ambayo huwa inapitisha kusajiliwa shule. Kwa sasa hivi vipengee ambavyo vimewekwa pale nasema ni kama ni vile vya ng'ambo ama vinatambua zile sehemu ambazo labda zina uwezo kwamba lazima kuwe na mijengo ambayo imejengwa kulingana na sheria za wizara ile ya ufanyaji kazi ya public works, kisha kuwe kuna wanafunzi fulani na vifaa kama hivyo. Ikiendelea hivyo, utakuta kwamba sehemu nyingi za Kenya ambazo wazazi hawana uwezo, na unajua saa hizi hakuna taratibu yoyote ya Wizara ya Elimu kuanzisha shule. Shule inaanzishwa na wazazi na vipengee ambavyo vimewekwa pale viko juu. Utakuta kwamba kuna sehemu zingine, kuna watoto ambao wanakosa haki yao ya kikatiba kupata elimu kwa sababu sheria ambazo zimewekwa haziwezi kutimizwa na wazazi hawana huo uwezo. Pia tusisahau kwamba wakati mzazi ameanzisha hii shule, huwa anatarajia pia walimu waweze kutumwa pale, lakini hii bodi ambayo inasimamia kulingana hivi viwango hawawezi kutuma walimu mpaka shule isajiliwe, na shule haiwezi kusajiliwa kwa sababu haijatimiza mijengo na kanuni ambazo zinahitajika. Kwa hivyo unapata watoto ni kama wanaenda kucheza pale, lakini hawana wakufunzi wale walio na taaluma ya kuwafundisha, lakini kwa sababu ya mapungufu ya wazazi na jamii inabidi wabakie vile vile. Hatimaye wanafanya mtihani ule wa kitaifa kama wengineo ambao wamekuwa wana vifaa vya kawaida na walimu wa kutosha. Matokeo yanakuwa wabaya, alafu inakuja kubaguliwa kwamba labda kuna sehemu nyingine watu wao hawana akili ya kutosha, hawawezi elimu, wanabaki nyuma, na ile hali ni zile sheria ambazo zimewekwa. Kwa hivyo, Mheshimiwa Spika, naunga mkono huu mswada na uchukuliwe maanani na kuzingatiwa, kwa sababu utaenda sehemu kubwa ya kusawazisha ile tofauti ya elimu katika hii nchi, kwamba sehemu nyingine ni kama wengine wanahesabikana ni werevu, kuna madaktari, kuna maprofesa na wengine, na sehemu nyingine unapata location nzima ama hata wadi nzima hakuna mtu labda ambaye amepata shahada kwa sababu ya yale maonevu ambayo yapo katika hali ya kusajili na kutoa utendakazi katika hii wizara. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Asante Honorable Makali Mulu.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to add my voice in this important debate. And I want to start by appreciating Honorable Oruoch for effectively representing his people. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the reason why some of these community schools exist, is because they exist to serve a very unique group of students. And more so, you find most of them in our slums or in areas where our people who have low incomes live, Honorable Speaker. And you realize that, Honorable Speaker, if these schools are not there, chances are very high that these students will never go to school, because some of them are not able to join the formal schools which have been registered, Honorable Speaker. So even as we debate, Honorable Speaker, we must realize that these schools, community schools, really reach out to very disadvantaged group of this country. And it is important that we support this bill, Honorable Speaker, so that we give an equal chance to these students. Honorable Speaker, you realize that some of these schools are relatively very cheap. Some of them actually do not even require you to be in uniform. So parents find them a very good place to take their children because it is cheaper. Some even are within the neighborhood, so that it's a matter of a child waking up in the morning and going to the school, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, I know a lot has been said about this issue, and I want to join colleagues who have supported it and say that I'm also in support. Through registration of these facilities, Honorable Speaker, we'll be able to open doors for them in terms of benefit from capitation, like other schools. They will also be able to benefit from teachers, Honorable Speaker, because the way they are now, you cannot get TSC teachers being posted there. But if they formalize the process, then they can also get teachers, Honorable Speaker. I know it's a requirement that you must have learned before you register school. But I think what being proposed here is the issue of having exemptions for these unique situations so that we could still register them and appreciate the environment in which the schools are in, Honorable Speaker. In that case, then, we'll allow more opportunities for the children to go to school. And this being a constitutional right, Honorable Speaker, I think it is important that we allow all Kenyan children to exercise that right, rights to education. And by doing that, Honorable Speaker, we all know education is a very good equalizer. So the more we discriminate against these schools, Honorable Speaker, the more we make our community be unequal in terms of opportunities. We know very well the more you go to school, the higher you join education and the higher you go in the education sector, Honorable Speaker, the more you improve your chances of also getting employment opportunities. So in a situation where we lock them out of these opportunities, Honorable Speaker, then, it means they will definitely not be employed anywhere in a formal environment. And it is important, as representatives of the people, Honorable Speaker, we appreciate that fact and support this bill and ensure that these schools are formalized through formal registration. So with those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to support this bill and thank once more our colleague, Honorable Ruoch, because he represents this environment we are discussing in this House. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, time allotted for this motion is up. So I now call upon the mover to reply. Honorable Luch.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And first, I want to thank all the members who showed up and contributed, gave a lot of very useful insight and things that I will carry in terms of improving the bill and perhaps making amendments in the committee of the whole House. Allow me to retrace briefly the journey of this bill. Sometimes in the 12th Parliament, I was engaged or approached by members coming essentially from Mathare constituency. It later grew to members of what you call the APBET Association across Ruaraka constituency, and then eventually an entire team of close to over 10,000 directors, teachers, people who assist administrators of alternative provision for basic education gathered together and appointed me to be the ambassador for APBET in Nairobi and the Republic of Kenya. It is a mantle that I took and filed and tabled a bill which went up to pre-publication scrutiny, and I want to thank Honorable Makali Mulu. I don't know if you remember that at the time when we appeared in Mombasa to defend this and got a clean bill of health from Budget and Appropriation Committee, it was yourself, yours truly, who was chairing that, and we had a very useful analysis from the Budget and Appropriation Committee. It indicated very rich comparative jurisdiction. This does not only exist in Kenya, it exists in Malawi. The same situation obtains in India, it obtains in Nigeria, and many other places which have challenges of school of the nature in which we are. Unfortunately, it did not make it to the second reading, and therefore it lapsed. And when we began the 13th Parliament, I was again given the challenge of raising this bill. Honorable Speaker, Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Education Committee because at the very, very beginning, and I could tell even as I was engaging with this bill, there were very serious challenges of trying to understand what is it that this honorable member is trying to do to create a category outside of the definition of Basic Education Act. Because Basic Education Act defines basic education as either being public or private. And so they asked me a question, do you want to create another tier or category of schools outside of this? And Honorable Emase here said, and together with, I think, Professor Bato, who initially and many other members of the Education Committee faced what I would call the Damascus moment. When they visited Kibra, they visited other informal settlements, and then were able to put together their oversight role and legislative role under Article 95, together with actual situation on the ground. That was the Damascus moment, and I got 100% support from this committee, and I want to thank Honorable Meni and his team for this particular. I want to thank the legal team in Parliament, the clerk, the speaker, a very, very technical, professional team that walked me through trying to put together over 70 clauses of this particular bill. And I want to say that we have one of the most progressive and the most competent legal team in Parliament. Honorable Speaker, a number of things have been raised, which I need to try and bring out, and I want to thank members for it, but I want to reiterate again that this is an affirmative measure. It is entrenched in the Constitution itself. I am not trying to bring anything that is outside of the Constitution. The Constitution 2010 did not contemplate that after 10 or 12 years of its existence, there are over 3 million Kenyans, in light of what exists under Article 43 of the Constitution, could be excluded out of the education system in light of our policy of free compulsory education, which is under Article 43, against Article 10 that talks about inclusion, equity, equalization, against Article 27(2) and 6 that talks about non-discrimination, because how else would you describe that children in certain categories and parts of this country, and now I'm very happy that members have enlightened me, that this does not only affect informal settlements. Yeah? These, and the honorable member here told me, and many other members, that this actually affects even members in rural setting, allow me to use that word, the constituencies outside of towns and city. How can it be that over 3 million Kenyans could still be outside the ambit of our education system in terms of registration, recognition, mapping, and the simple reason is they cannot meet stringent conditions that you need a title deed in informal settlements of Mathare, Mukuru, Kwajenga, in Kibra, and other places, and even in the rural areas. You do not have the benefit of title deeds. This is a continuing problem that the government is still solving. You are required to have at least an acre of land. I'll give you an example of Mathare constituency. The entire Mathare constituency is like the size of the CBD, 4 square kilometers. Where would you get an acre free of land to build? That is why you have these mushrooming informal schools. Let me also settle this by giving some statistics. In Mathare, and which I said before, we have over 56,000 learners or school-going children. Out of these, in my 4 square kilometers, only 26,000 can fit in public schools. Close to about 32,000 are out there. The government and this house must worry, and it is our role under Article 95 to resolve issues affecting the people. We must worry, where do these 32,000 learners go? They don't have NEMIS, now called chemis. They don't have registration, they don't have recognition, meaning that when you sit here every year to do budgeting, as we will do beginning this month of May, you have closed a blind eye to the 32,000 learners in Mathare constituency. It is this gap that these informal setups have come in to fill. The churches, non-governmental organizations, volunteers, to carry out something in between continuing education, adult education, night schooling, children who ordinarily, because cannot afford uniform or lunch, cannot go to school out of shame. Simple things like they don't have uniform, cannot afford a pair of shoes, and therefore would not be allowed to school. They cannot afford a bag. These things are simple, yet very, very important for people in our informal settlement. Now, let me address specifically some issues that came up and which I hope members will bring up, and I will bring up in terms of amendment. There was the issue that was raised, and Honorable Millie brought out this, whether or not the bill will not be trying to entrench discrimination by saying there is public schools, private schools, and then let us create a tier for these people. Are we not entrenching discrimination? That issue was raised and a lot of members brought, and I have taken it under advisement, and I will bring amendments to try and ensure that we do not create a third tier. The issue here is to find how can we incorporate these alternative learning lanes into public schools so that the definition of public schools incorporates these informal settled and these disadvantaged people. So we don't create another tire that may open us up to court action that we are trying to entrench discrimination. So this bill will definitely not be trying to do that. So we will be trying to bring out amendments in order to try and deal with that issue. The other issue that came up was raised by Honorable Karoli and a number of other members. But Honorable Karoli, when he approached me, asked me the same question, that the PFM Act contemplates that public finances can only be deployed so as to be able to fund public purposes. How will you ensure that you do not have a proliferation of schools, pockets of briefcase schools, because people think that they will be funding? And so we agreed, and I challenged Karoli, and he came up with a number of recommendations. Number one, these app-based schools, once defined as part of public schools or a lane under public schools, must have a public character, must be registered as a trust, and I will ask Madam Speaker to add me 2 minutes to wind up, must have accountability and governance system, must have physical structure and a board where at least you can go there and find a place where you will be able to find them, so that they are able to be in a place where they are not offending the Public Finance Management Act. So we have spoken to the issue of governance.
I'll give you a minute. You'll have a lot more to say in the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. So the governance structures will create a community's trust at the Committee of the Whole House, delimit who can run public schools, must be non-profit making. We must also innovate around the housing, because these are mostly in informal settlements, so that the housing levy that is being used, some of the social amenities that they come up with must include physical, social infrastructure that will be able to incorporate and take into account some of the community houses. We must also deal with the question of NEMIS and KEMIS so that every student is registered. Every student can be accounted for and therefore budgeted for, given TSC capitation. They are able to have TSC posting so that this will in the end be able to truly lead to the government's 100% transition, compulsory free education, and meet the dictates of Article 43 of the Constitution. With those remarks, Madam Speaker, honorable members, I want to thank you again, and I beg to reply. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lodge. Honorable members, I now put the question, which is that the Basic Education Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 3 of 2025 be now read a second time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Basic Education Act 2013 and for connected purposes. Order number 10, the Prevention of Livestock and Produce Theft Bill, Senate Bill number 12 of 2023, second reading.
The Honorable Dawood.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to move the Prevention of Livestock and Produce Theft Bill 2023. And Madam Speaker, this is a bill co-sponsored by, original bill was by the Honorable Senator Samson Chelgay, MP for Nandi. Madam Speaker, this bill has been in the halls of Parliament from the year 2023. It went to the Committee of Agriculture and Livestock in 2024, and it's now 2 years down the line when I'm moving it in the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, the purpose of this bill is the Prevention of Livestock and Produce Theft Bill proposes to provide for the establishment of mechanisms for preventing, combating, and eventually eradicating livestock and produce theft in the country. The background, Madam Speaker, is that the livestock and theft of produce has continued to persist over time and has often led to the loss of lives and destruction of property, and therefore negatively affecting the livelihoods of the affected communities. Despite the existence of the Stock and Produce Theft Act 350, Cap 355 laws of Kenya and provisions under the Penal Code Cap 63 laws of Kenya prohibiting livestock and produce theft, the practice has continued unabated. It has therefore become necessary to address this issue comprehensively through a legal framework with specific provisions to address the challenges at hand. Overview of the bill, Madam Speaker. Part 2 of the bill, of the proposed bill, provides for branding of livestock, and in this regard, the bill assigns specific responsibilities to the Cabinet Secretary and the County Executive Committee member in charge of livestock. Clause 4 obligates the Cabinet Secretary to, among others, formulate a national policy and set standards on the identification and movement of livestock and to develop and coordinate intergovernmental relations mechanisms in the delivery of services under the proposed bill. The bill also requires the Cabinet Secretary to collaborate with the security and other relevant agencies to establish mechanisms for the disarmament and confiscation of firearms held by livestock owners. Under Clause 6, Madam Speaker, the proposed bill requires a livestock owner to register the design of their brand by making an application to the county executive committee member. The application shall be in a prescribed form and shall meet the requirements provided in the proposed bill and those to be set out in county legislation. The county executive committee member is required to consider and approve the said application within 30 days. However, an application can be rejected if the brand has already been registered, resembles a registered brand, or does not meet the requirements provided in the Act. Upon registration, a livestock owner shall be issued with a certificate, and where the original certificate is lost or misplaced, the executive committee member may issue a duplicate certificate upon fulfillment of the said requirements. Further, Clause 8 of the bill provides that a proprietor of the registered brand may apply to transfer the rights to another brand upon fulfillment of the set requirements, which include a consent of the person to whom the proprietor wishes to transfer the right to. Clause 9, it provides that a registered brand may be cancelled if the proprietor no longer requires to use the brand or has died, or in the case of a proprietor or body corporate, has been wound up or dissolved. However, where the proprietor is a registered brand dies, the personal representative may use the brand until the appointment of a personal representative is terminated or the distribution of the estate of the deceased is completed. Madam Speaker, Clause 10 requires the livestock owners to brand the livestock with registered brand before they reach the age of 6 months. Further, where at the commencement of this Act, a livestock will have attained the age of 6 months, the livestock will be registered within 3 months of the commencement of the Act. Madam Speaker, Part 3 of the proposed bill provides for the regulation of movement of livestock. Clause 12 requires a proprietor who intends to move livestock from premises where they are ordinarily kept for purposes of sale or slaughter to apply for a permit. Under Clause 13 of the proposed bill, an owner of an abattoir is required to keep books and records of every livestock slaughtered and any carcass or produce leaving the abattoir. The bill further sets out the details that shall be recorded in the books and records. Madam Speaker, Clause 16, the proposed bill provides that the County Executive Committee member shall designate inspectors for each ward in the respective county for the purpose of enforcement of the provisions of the Act. The inspectors shall coordinate the implementation of the Act at the ward level by performing specific tasks which include inspecting removal permits, assisting in investigation and recovery of stolen livestock, and facilitating the application for and registration of brands. Madam Speaker, Part 5 of the proposed bill makes provisions on the offences related to livestock and livestock produce theft. The offences include branding of another person's livestock or altering, defacing, or obliterating livestock belonging to another so as to conceal or disguise the identification of such livestock is an offence whose penalty shall be a term of imprisonment not exceeding 1 year, or to a fine not exceeding 100,000, or to both. B, stealing or receiving stolen livestock or livestock produce is an offence whose penalty shall be a term of not less than 20 years. Further, a person who Clause 32 provides for the offences under the Act which shall be tried by any subordinate court and which are set out in Article 169 of the Constitution. The bill further gives the courts unlimited jurisdiction to determine matters under the Act. Madam Speaker, the Clause 35 of the proposed bill gives powers to the Cabinet Secretary to make regulation on the registration and identification of livestock. B, removal or conveyance of livestock or produce, management of livestock centers. D, conduct of sensitization programs and the publication and dissemination of information. And E, charges and fees to be paid to the registrar under this Act. Madam Speaker, Clause 36 of the proposed bill seeks to amend the Penal Code, Cap 63 laws of Kenya by deleting Section 278 of the Act, which provides for stealing of stealing of stock. Further, clauses 37 and 38 seek to repeal the Branding of Stock Act, Cap 357 laws of Kenya, and the Stock and Produce Theft Act, Cap 355 of Kenya, laws of Kenya, respectively. Madam Speaker, the legislative proposal was referred to the committee, and the committee has given its go-ahead. It was after waiting for the Ministry of Livestock to present their bill, because initially, when I appeared on the 29th of April 2024 in front of the committee, the Ministry of Livestock opposed the bill, saying that they had a similar bill which they would be bringing to the chamber through the leader of majority. But Madam Speaker, the same has never been brought, and at the report of the committee in August 2025, they gave a go-ahead for this bill to be now moved, and that is what I'm doing. Madam Speaker, the import of this bill is that we cannot be moving livestock, because there is a lot of theft of livestock, especially in pastoralist areas, and recently in Meru County, where we have lost not just livestock, we have lost even life. And that has been a big burden on the people of Meru, Isiolo, and the other counties, because what happens is, Madam Speaker, there is no way of knowing whose livestock is where. So with this bill, we will have branding. While this bill was being moved in the Senate, one question which came up by one of the senators was, how would you brand a chicken if it was to be stolen? And that I found was not in the right context, because we are not talking about, okay, it is livestock, but branding a chicken would be very, very difficult. But branding animals, livestock animals, would be a very worthwhile thing, because by doing it, we will now be protecting. Because if there is a brand, and if it moves, it's like a number plate.
Order.
Order. You know, member for, is it Kwale? No, Malindi. You are seated on the nominated member for our UDA nominated member. No, I'm not seated from Meru. Literally seated on her. No, you are not. You are seated on the seat. Yeah. Well, you know that is completely out of order. So I think you can be orderly. The seat next to you is vacant, so I think you can take the seat next to the distinguished member for the honorable member who is moving the motion. I think that will be in order. Or you move to the next row. Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the branding is something like what we have on cars, number plates. And you see, it identifies which vehicle is, what is the number, and if it moves. So by branding, we're leaving it to legislation, which will be done even by the county assembly, county executive, CEC member, where they will be now proposing how to do. And by branding, we will be making sure if livestock from Meru moves up to Samburu, and we can follow up where it has gone. So, Madam Speaker, what happens in this one is there would be a register. Nobody will be able to move their livestock, even if they sell it to an abattoir for slaughter. You can still follow it up, because the abattoir will need to have a register from whom he has bought, and it's like there would be even a logbook kind of, so that we can make sure that whatever is being stolen or it has been somebody has taken it to a abattoir, it is not somebody gets money out of it, which is not theirs. So, Madam Speaker, that would even assist in a way. Madam Speaker, the other day, the Minister for Security, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, gazetted a few regions as disturbed, where the governor for Samburu, and I was surprised because he's been a member of this house, he said he would not agree to that the Gazette notice for disturb. And we, as Meru County, we are sure our livestock is moving through Isiolo, going all the way to Samburu. And Madam Speaker, that needs to stop. And the only way to stop it and identify where the livestock is, the same issue has been in the Rift Valley, where this livestock theft is a way where people term it as being something for cultural or some other issues, that maybe during wedding ceremonies or trying to get a wife, somebody has to steal a lot of cattle so that they can even present that cattle so they can be seen to be strong enough to protect the community. But Madam Speaker, we need to get with this branding. Once we have this branding in place, I know the Ministry of Livestock did say that there was a stock theft bill, but there was no implementation, or there was no, nobody was taking a lot of, because the people were not taking heed of it. Madam Speaker, there is a livestock theft unit in the National Police Service, but apparently it is maybe understaffed or maybe looking the other way, because there is no way of knowing whose cow, whose goat it is. But with this branding, Madam Speaker, we will go a long way in getting those which have been stolen. And I think further, if this bill is approved, then we will go further, and there are a few amendments by the committee in the third reading or the committee stage. We will look at it, and then we will agree how to go about it. But Madam Speaker, this goes a long way. If this country can get this one done, I think then we will have each and every person who owns a cow or a goat or a sheep or any other livestock animal, who will know what is there. So, Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I want to move, and I ask Professor Barto to second this bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Before Professor Barto, you will take your seat. Thank you very much, Member for Imenti North. Honorable members, before seconding of that motion in order number 10, honorable members, I wish to introduce you to a delegation from the Parliament of Ghana, seated in the Speaker's row. The delegation, which is drawn from the House Committee responsible for overseeing the review, provision, maintenance, and continuous improvement of members' services and facilities, comprises of the following members. 1, the Honorable Isaac Boamar Nyarko, MP, being the leader of delegation. The Honorable Godwin Dorbagazi Dorani, MP, member. The Honorable Abdul Rauf Tubazu, MP, member. The Honorable Owen Kwame Frimpong, MP and member. Honorable members, a delegation accompanied by one staffer is on a visit to benchmark with the National Assembly Committee on Member Services and Facilities and the Committee on Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library to share experiences and best practices in executing their mandates. Honorable members, on my own behalf and that of the National Assembly, I welcome them to the Parliament and wish them fruitful engagements during their stay in the country. I thank you. And before we second, I would like to welcome the Honorable Ngeleche to welcome to the National Assembly.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I also wish to join you in welcoming the members of Parliament from Ghana. That is our Honorable Frank, Godwin, Abdul, and Owen to the National Assembly of Kenya. And thank you for coming and benchmarking with us and learning with us. I want to let you know, bring to your attention that the existence of this National Assembly and the running on day-to-day and the great improvement that always happens is as the courtesy of the Committee on the Member Services and Facilities. It is them who have ensured that our Parliament runs on YouTube. Even when you go back to Ghana, you will be able, or you can be able to follow us, whatever we are doing right here on YouTube every time that we are seated here. This is the courtesy of members, the Member Services and Facilities Committee. There is also another very important thing is the welfare of members of Parliament. Like, for example, when we are having sessions here, like today we are having a session in the morning and another one in the afternoon, the Committee on members' services have ensured that members are provided with meals, they are provided with good lunch there, and at times you also find that there are some members who would want to do refreshment and have something before they go home, especially when there is traffic. We have the facilities right there. This is to the advantage of members to ensure that they deliver their mandate without disturbance of getting to go outside to look for meals and also to look for other services. We have the gym. We have the gym for the members who want to do exercises in the morning. They can come here as early as 4 a.m. and leave as late as midnight. Whereby at times, if you have to go and travel back to your estate to look for a gym, at times, you might not find enough time to take care of your health. So there is a lot of issues and a lot of things you can borrow from us. We welcome you once again, and we want you to learn and do the maximum because it has really helped us to deliver our mandate to the people and the Republic of Kenya, and also to improve on our welfare. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Member for Marakwet. Just to add that our services have really improved. I must say that our Speaker and the clerk have a very good taste. When you go to all places, including outside this house and all the shared areas, including our offices, they really look very good. and that is courtesy of our clerk and the speaker who have done a wonderful job. Thank you very much. Honorable members, now we go to the seconder of the motion. Professor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to second this motion. This bill by Honorable Dawood, the Prevention of Livestock and Produce Theft Bill 2023. Madam Speaker, in as much as in the past we have had provisions for stock and produce, the Cap 35 laws of Kenya and provisions under the Penal Code Cap 63, it has not been of much help because, Madam Speaker, the theft of livestock and produce is still it's still happening in Kenya to an extent that even those communities who have livestock have devised measures of providing security for their stock. A case in point, Madam Speaker, is that I saw one item which was in YouTube where a farmer decided to paint his dog in the colors of a leopard to prevent thieves from breaking into his compound to steal his sheep, I think so. So this bill is very important in the sense that one of the provisions is branding. Once you have branded your animals or your livestock or your produce, it is a very good way of identifying, and even if it is stolen, it can easily be recovered. Another very important section of this bill, Madam Speaker, is a certificate. A certificate is equivalent to somebody having a title deed. And this one, it's not only a security certificate, but Madam Speaker, it can go all the way to ensure even a farmer secures loans in a bank. And I think that one is very important. More so, there is a provision for offenses relating to the livestock and produce theft. Say that if you are a farmer and you find yourself in a situation where your animals have been stolen, your produce has been stolen, you can always get provision in a court of law to make sure that you recover, and there are penalties for those people who participate in the theft. And again, this is going to avert such to avert stealing in a very big way, because people will be cautioned not to. I mean, people will take it as a precautionary way of not indulging in theft. So, Madam Speaker, I think I support this bill, and it is very well put. And identity is very important. Imagine a situation where you have branded your livestock, you have branded your produce, you have an identity, you have a mark, and that defines your wealth. And I think I support this bill, and Madam Speaker, I second.
Thank you, Professor. Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that the Prevention of Livestock and Produce Theft Bill, Senate Bill number 12 of 2023, be now read a second time. The Honorable Gertrude Mbeyu, or may I say that members who are interested in this bill, hit the intervention button. I'll start with the Honorable Kasim Tandaza.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I normally do my contribution in Kiswahili, but because we have some guests from Ghana who might not understand what I'll be talking about, but suffice to say that we do our contribution in 2 languages, either in English or Kiswahili. I don't know whether in Ghana they do it in Ghananianish and another language, I'm not sure, but that's the way we do it. Honorable Speaker, 2 issues to the committee. Honorable Dawood, thank you for actually bringing up this bill. But I have 2 concerns. One, when it comes to movement of livestock, we've had a lot of problems with our colleagues. Where I come from, we are not livestock farmers, we are not pastoralists. But of late, we've had issues in Tana River, in Lamu, and also in Kwale, where people move their livestock all the way from Kajiado, from Garissa, and other areas to come and graze in areas where we're basically agriculturalists. So we find a lot of conflicts now between us who are agriculturalists and those who are farming, who are livestock farmers. Sometimes they use big names that this livestock does not belong to a small person. Probably it belongs to Honorable Dawood, so it should be allowed to graze on our maize and cassavas and other related crops. So I think in this amendment, now that there is the element of movement, apart from just branding, you also see how you can handle that issue of conflict between pastoralists and agriculturalists. 2, you mentioned with a light note about the chicken and how it can be branded, but it is a very serious matter because I know once this bill is passed and turns into law, the policemen will be harassing the chicken people. They will be saying it is now a must, it is law, that for you to even move a chicken or a rat, it has to be branded. And they'll be confiscating as usual, they'll be asking for something small, and you know something small is not as small as we might imagine. So at your level at the committee, please take this matter seriously. Probably you say branding will apply to probably cattle, sheep, goats, and camels, and exclude the other animals which are described as livestock. Otherwise, we'll create another avenue for harassment by our law enforcement because we know them, that they will look for every excuse to harass innocent people, given that it will be an act of parliament and it is law. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I just wanted to make a comment concerning Swahili in Ghana. Why they do not have the ability to tell us, but I just checked it up, that it is not commonly spoken in Ghana, but it is taught in universities as an academic language, and that the commonly spoken languages are Twi, Akan, and Ga. So we'd like to thank you very much for speaking English today. You would have done it very well in Swahili. And the next is the member for Marakwet. I think this will be from personal experience, a member for Marakwet.
Madam Speaker, allow me to inform you, I am a member of Elgeyo Marakwet, Madam Speaker.
Yes, yes.
When you say Marakwet, it is a half of the county, and yet it is a combined county. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to contribute in this bill. Madam Speaker, first of all, let me just raise my concern that the senator who brought in this bill, first of all, is not a pastoralist, and he doesn't come from a community where people keep wild animals or loitering animals. And maybe he was informed, the bill came up in March 14th, 2023. This is the time that the theft of animals, domestic animals, and the banditry was on the highest in this country, Madam Speaker, and it has really caused an unrest in the communities keeping animals. And maybe this is actually what informed the senator that the bill will help to avert the theft of animals. Where I sit from, I come from the pastoralist community, and where we have been hardly hit by banditry and theft of animals for the past more than 30 years, Madam Speaker. But what I can tell this House is it was as a result of laxity of the previous governments to deal with the menace. And this particular government, I can assure you that for the past 1 year, there has not been recorded cases in my county of stolen animals. And maybe in my neighboring counties, I can say they have been minimized. It is now on the minimal. This was as a result of people not doing what they are supposed to do. However, Madam Speaker, the reason as to why also I'm opposed to this bill is because in the pastoralist communities and those people from Northeastern, from maybe Narok, parts of the Rift Valley can attest to me that being a pastoralist is a very difficult and a very challenging economic activity. See, farmers move with the animals from one place to another in search of pasture and water. At times in the dry seasons, you find that people move several kilometers in search of pasture. When they move, they have associations and registered associations whereby you can, along the way, decide to sell your animals or exchange your animals with another pastoralist that you meet along the way. Like we have a culture of exchanging bulls and rams in the process because maybe you found you need a breed, a different breed of of a bull to come and change the breeds of your animals. So you don't need to go back to the market and do the registration and get a certificate for you to hand over the bull. But you just do a barter trade. Maybe you give out a bull and you get an exchange of 2 cows, Madam Speaker. If you tell them that a registration must be done, it will be very difficult for them to go to the registration center. Number 2, most of these pastoralists don't even have the basic or the key documentation for human beings. Like many of the pastoralists, they don't even have ID cards, they don't have birth certificate. You'll be adding more problems if you tell them now to have birth certificate or registration of animals. These are people who have challenges. It can happen, but not now. Let us finish first registering those individuals, those pastoralists, before now we go to telling them to register their animals. Number 3, Madam Speaker, is we have a way of identifying our animals. We do ear notching. Like where I come from, you can identify that these particular animals comes from a particular clan by the notch or the mark that have been put in their ears. And when marriages happen, because we exchange our girls.
Order, member for Elgeyo Marakwet. There is a point of order by the Honorable Rahim Dawood, the mover of this bill.
Madam Speaker, I didn't want to
I
interrupt.
hope you are not agitated.
No, I didn't want to interrupt Honorable Caroline.
Order. Are you agitated that the
No.
human beings, they have
she's
not
allowed
finished
to.
registration of human beings, and you are telling the member for Elgeyo Marakwet that they should now go to register animals?
Madam Speaker, I am not agitated.
What is out of order?
She said loitering animals. So I was wondering which are these loitering animals she's talking about. And then she's talking about branding, whereas she has mentioned that they're notching the ears. So what is that? Is that not a brand? And the loitering animals, I fail to understand which are the loitering animals.
Well, she has the freedom to debate this whichever way she wants. I would not like her to be an answer, question and answer to her. But if you would like to to comment on that, you are free to do so.
A very good example of loitering animals are chicken, whereby in my village, during the day you have several or many chicken because maybe you have plenty of food, or there was a shere in your homestead. In the evening, those chicken go back to their homesteads. So they are loitering animals, those ones. Number 2, the ear notching, I was actually trying to explain that we already have a mark of identifying our animals without having certificates for them or having them being registered. And just to continue with what I was saying, Madam Speaker, we have the administration very present to deep down our villages, to our chiefs, assistant chiefs, and even the village elders. What we can do is we can have them register the individuals or the families existing and the number of animals that each and every family have. Whenever we have a dispute or whenever animals are stolen, the chief can authoritatively say that so-and-so, like Honorable Caro, is a farmer and she keeps 500 chicken and 10 10 cows. Another issue of branding, Madam Speaker, or having our animals being branded is when we are wedding or when we are having marriages. We are a community whereby we exchange our spouses with cows. Where I come from is when you give out your daughter to someone, the only valid exchange that is honorably accepted is heads of cattle. And in that case, so you will have also give the person a large task to now go and deregister the animals and register on the other person's account. Nonetheless, Madam Speaker, is also we still have more challenges. If we add functioning extension officers in the counties to keep the record of the animals in every county or in every ward, so that whenever there is a theft, there is an accountability. But there are no extension officers in most of the counties, that even our animals still die. You understand that you remember the other day our president was called, somebody said our president has turned to be an announcer of FIFO ya Wanyama. Is because the president said that somebody had lost his animals on, what do you call this disease? It's called, caused by ticks. It's not foot and mouth, a disease caused by tick bites. It's because we still have challenges of our animals dying from tick bites. Others are dying from lack of pasture. And you find you might wake up in the morning and the farmer has lost maybe 100 heads of cattle because there is no pasture. So you can imagine now putting that farmer into another challenge of going and deregister those animals from his name, or having to register just a farmer who has decided that he wants to sell 1,000 heads of cattle, like the farmers in the northeastern. Somebody wants to change the animals that he has, and he has decided to sell 50 heads of cattle, and you now tell this farmer to go to the nearby administrative, maybe to the nearby county headquarters, to register that he has now acquired 1,000 heads of sheep and has sold 100 heads of ngamias. Madam Speaker, I think we are just giving ourselves unnecessary responsibilities when we still have key challenges. If the units that we have, the administrative units, the chiefs, the assistant chiefs are there, and they can do an account of the villages and what the wealth in their villages, there will be no need of the registration. And last, Madam Speaker, with the laws and regulations, they already exist. Like in this country, you are not allowed to transport animals before 6 a.m. and past 6 in the evening. So I think even the recommended penalties here, they are already there, but they have not been enforced. So if the law enforcement officers can just ensure that people don't move their animals without a license, because even right now, if I want to move a dairy cow from Kiambu, maybe to Elgeyo Marakwet, I have to get a permit from the area chief to ensure that I don't steal from people. And also we have a unit in the GSU that is called ASTU, in charge of the issues that we are discussing here. They are the ones who always deal with pastoralist communities. Whenever there is theft of the animals, they ensure that they are returned back to their rightful owners, and they prevent the petty thieves who keep stealing animals from one another. So I think it is just an issue of law enforcement, and every unit in this country doing their part. We will not need to burden our farmers with extra issues when the basic ones have not even been formalized, Madam Speaker. So I want to oppose this bill, and this bill will bring more problems to our people than what they have right now. What we only need is security.
I want to give her an extra 2 minutes because of your area. 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. What I was just saying is we will be adding our people more problems, and we all understand the challenges that we have in this country. If the law enforcement officers, that is the police, the GSU, the ASTU, can do their part by ensuring, because The theft of animals is just like any other, isn't like any other thief. A person who comes to your homestead and steals your animals is as good as a person who steals a motor vehicle from someone. So if we can enforce the law and ensure the administrators who are there, the chiefs, the assistant chiefs, the village elders are there. Madam Speaker, protect me from
What is
honorable...
out of order? What is out of order, member?
Madam
for
Speaker, I come from a
Buri.
I come from a bandit prone area.
But what exactly
to
is out of-
trivialize
what is out of order?
bandit theft as like normal theft, that is, Madam, it is really belittling the problem that we are facing in the places where we
I
are.
know that you just walked in. I can
Yes.
see that you have interest in making contribution to this bill. I thought you just wait, but I wanted to know what exactly is out of order, Mheshimiwa Foburi.
Madam Speaker, she is trivializing that cattle lustering or theft is just a petty theft like any other. That is wrong.
No, actually, member for Buri, before you came, the member for Elgeyo Marakwet explained that this is a very serious menace. She has been speaking for the last 10 minutes. In fact, I've just given her 2 minutes to conclude. So I think the best way and the most respectful way is to let her finish. And because I've seen that you have put your card, you'll have your chance. Otherwise, there is nothing out of order. Please conclude. You have 1 minute.
Now, Madam Speaker, you understand the challenges you will face with pastoralists. The pastoralist has just entered in this room without even knowing what we've been talking about, and is already over the roof boiling without even getting the idea, because I just said it is a normal theft, and he feels that I'm diluting the whole affair. So what I was saying is we don't have to give our people more unnecessary challenges and burdens and problems of registration of animals. We just need to make sure that the law enforcement units are working, the administrative units are doing their own work and their own job, so that we ensure that any theft or any person who violates the law is brought to book. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
What is out of order again?
Honorable Speaker.
And Karori, I cannot even see your card. I hope your card is working today.
It is here.
I could only hear your voice.
It is here, Honorable
It means
Madam
that there
Speaker.
is a problem with your, either I think the place where that card, table office, please take note. Because last week we were not able to see him.
Yes.
And today we can only hear loud voice.
Honorable
Yes, now we can see you, Karoli.
Honorable Madam,
What is out of order?
Honorable Madam Speaker, is the Honorable Lady in order to describe what amounts in law to robbery with violence. When you take somebody's property using force or threatening to use force, is defined as robbery with violence. Cattle rustling is actually robbery with violence. That is what it is in law. It is not ordinary
Member
theft.
for Elgeyo Marakwet,
Yes.
you know this matter has been raised by 2 members now. The member for Buri, and now the Honorable Karoli Omondi. And I would like now to give you a chance to make a comment on it. 1 minute. If you tell me that you have concluded, I'll let you go.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I didn't dispute or I didn't talk about robbery with violence. At times there are people who steal your animals violently. And at times there are people who can even con you and take and go away with your animals by false pretense. So it depends on how the animals were stolen. Others will kill the owner and take the animals. Others will convince the owner and take the animals. Others will even promise that they are going to bring you money. You understand how pastoralists work. They'll tell you, please let me have your bull, then tomorrow I'll bring the money and never
So
come
are
with
you
the money.
trying to say that the mode of capturing the animal
is what matters, Madam Speaker? Thank you.
There are many ways of dealing with it, but I believe that you should not trivialize this matter. And now your time is up. Now, honorable members, I'd said those who have interest in this to hit the intervention button so that we know. I can see the Honorable Dorothy Kiara, nominated member, UDA. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, first I want to add my voice to this very important bill and thank Honorable Rahim, who is the co-sponsor of this bill, Prevention of Livestock and Produce Theft Bill 12 of 2023. Honorable Speaker, this bill is very specific on what it wants to achieve. But Honorable Speaker, before I go to that, I want to say I come from an area, Honorable Speaker, where cattle rustling has caused untold suffering and agony to our communities. Cattle theft is not just theft like any other theft. This is something that is well planned, well executed, Honorable Speaker, where we lose human beings as well as our animals. Honorable Speaker, therefore, I want to thank Honorable Rahim because this is speaking directly to our people who are in the northern grazing zone, people from Bori constituency, people from Tigania constituency, Egembe North, Egembe Central, and Tigania West, where cattle rustling is very rampant. Honorable Speaker, I want to say this bill is trying to look for a mechanism for preventing, combating, and if possible, eradicating livestock theft in the country. And it is going deeper into providing a well-structured framework whereby this particular menace can be addressed and heard once and for all. Honorable Speaker, I want to say the lives of the livestock farmers and their economic activities on a daily basis all their lives, it is none other than keeping those animals. And Honorable Speaker, when a bill is trying to address the issues that affect them on a daily basis, this is something that we should all embrace, put aside all other issues that we think will interfere with this bill and see how we can improve on this bill and make it, streamline it so that our people can be able to go on with their economic activities without interference. One of the things that this bill has addressed itself to, it is how we can be able to know the number of animals that each farmer has. And branding of livestock is one way of ensuring that every farmer can be able to identify his or her animals. Honorable Speaker, I'm saying this because, like in my community, when our livestock is taken and finds its way to the Samburu area, past Isiolo, and then the security agencies are able to trace these animals and bring them back to our communities. There is no other way that the farmers can be able to identify their animals except going there and looking at the marks that they are put in the animals. So, Honorable Speaker, if this bill can come with a mechanism of ensuring that all the animals in our communities are branded, then that will be an easier way for the security agents when animals are gotten and taken back to the communities, they will go to the rightful owners. Honorable Speaker, the other way is ensure that these brands are also registered, because you can brand and without proper registration mechanism, you will not be able to say these animals belong to Farmer A and these animals belong to Farmer B. So, Honorable Speaker, this particular bill is therefore providing transparency and accountability in the way these animals will be accounted for, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, the only way that we can boost the morale of the livestock farmers, the only way as a country we can give them assurance that this is business that they can thrive in and earn a living. The only way that we can guarantee our communities that when the farmers go to the grazing fields with their livestock, they'll come back home safe. It is by ensuring that we support this bill. Honorable Speaker, we cannot be going to retrogressive practices where cattle restoring is accepted as a norm. Honorable Speaker, we can't go back there. So providing a legal framework to ensure that the cattle farmers or livestock farmers are well secured through this bill. Honorable Speaker, this is something that I don't think anyone would be opposing. Honorable Speaker, we know too well that the culture practices of some communities is the light way, the way a member has put it, exchanging of animals. Somebody calls you and they say they are exchanging animals. To us as a community, the Meru community, there is nothing like exchanging animals. The only thing that we know is our cattle are stolen by thieves, livestock thieves. And the only way we can deal with them, it is becoming even more punitive and providing even a more punitive way of dealing with them, Honorable Madam Speaker, so that this practice of cattle theft can end once and for all. Honorable Speaker, we want to thank His Excellency the President, because for the last 1 year or so, we have been crying. The Meru community is crying. It is barely a month ago when they were burying those who are killed by cattle rustlers. And Honorable Speaker, when we speak about streamlining this area so that our people can benefit, Honorable Speaker, I think this is the only thing that the government should do so that they can encourage livestock farming in our areas. Honorable Speaker, I dare say, Honorable Speaker, that we are not all blessed in the same manner. There are areas where they don't keep animals, and there are areas where they are predominantly agriculturists, communities. And Honorable Speaker, even them, they have ways that they secure what they keep, Honorable Speaker. And so I don't see anything wrong with this bill, Honorable Speaker. We should all speak to this bill, ensure that this bill becomes the game changer in the communities that are affected by cattle restoring. And above everything else, Honorable Speaker, as we go further into looking at this bill, we also be able to look at ways and mechanisms of compensation. So that, Honorable Speaker, what we do in the event that after the bill, after branding, after everything else, our cattle are stolen, we should also be able to come with ways and mechanisms of ensuring that animals that have been stolen over the years, those farmers are compensated, Honorable Speaker, because it is their way of life, it is the way they have their living, and Honorable Speaker, it is the duty of the government to ensure that we secure their place in the community by supporting the economic activities that they undertake on a daily basis. Honorable Speaker, I strongly support this bill, and I want once again to thank you, Honorable Mheshimiwa Rahim Daudi, for coming up with this bill. And I want to urge this House, as many members as possible, let us stand and support this important bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Ikiara. The Honorable Agnes Pereio, member for Narok North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to the prevention and livestock and
Try to adjust that microphone, or maybe, yeah.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to the prevention of livestock and produce theft bill. Before I speak, I just want to thank the the Honorable Rahim for bringing this issue. Because livestock, to us pastoralists, is like part of our life. And when you talk about theft, this really touches us. Because the livestock is our riches, we depend on livestock, and it's our livelihood. But when it comes to registration, I doubt that one if we can really succeed in registration. Because our people, animals, when you keep your animals, today you have 100 cows, tomorrow, if anything, an outbreak can come, tomorrow you have 50. Then it means you will keep registering your animals. So with that bit of it, I doubt whether it's a good one. But when it goes to theft, this is something that we must all look at. Because you have people who now live in stealing and killing people so that they can also benefit. Like today, yesterday, we had one of the farmers who was approached in his house, and he was almost killed. He was rescued by the neighbors because these people wanted to steal his animals. But at the moment as we speak, he's in Kijabe Hospital, and it's like the cows are not all there. So for this one, I think I support the prevention of theft, because this is a livelihood. People depend on it, and they have no other way of bringing up their families. So there is need for us to have a law that can prevent theft in the communities that depend on livestock. So for me, I support this bill, but with not very strong on that part of registration. I think we need to look at that part of registering the animals, because it's like they are not permanent. So it's not anything that you can say today they are 100, tomorrow they are 100. It's like they keep moving depending on the outbreak that comes. So for that reason, I support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Rindikiri Mugambi, member for Buri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I came in because I really wanted to say something and contribute to this good bill. Madam Speaker, from the onset, I come from the neighborhood of Laikipia, Isiolo, and by extension of Isiolo, Samburu, specifically Samburu East. Madam Speaker, every year and every season, particularly after initiation of certain communities, our neighbors, we had a terrible cattle rustling that comes with the loss of livestock and death and injuries. Madam Speaker, the northern grazing area of Meru covers Bore, Tigania East, Tigania West, Igembe Central, and Igembe North. So really, the pain you saw me lies, Madam Speaker, is because almost every village of our constituency has a cemetery, as a gravesite for people who have suffered as a result of cattle theft. And it's not only the cattle theft, it also involves goat and sheep. Madam Speaker, this bill is an attempt to help in curbing this menace. But Madam Speaker, in as much as I support it, it is skewed in the sense that we are only dealing with the livestock, we are not dealing with the lesterer or the person who has done it. Madam Speaker, we will support this bill because it is attempting to identify the livestock. But it must put a limitation on what livestock means, because livestock to me here covers a wide range of animals. Madam Speaker, there is the traditional identification mark, and now we are talking about the modern identification involving the intergovernmental operation. Madam Speaker, we could be doing something very nice with this bill, and I want my neighbor to listen to this. But the costs of implementing this whole process could be enormous. We must look at a situation where the identification, registration, because it's a continuous thing, and we have to know the type of branding that they are least. Number two, when it comes to movement, we need to build in the issue of tracking through electronic systems and technology. It's very, very, very important. Madam Speaker, the issue of prevention of theft is very weighty in the bill, and I support that, because our attempt is to prevent, and that's where now we deal with both the animal and the people who are perpetuating the theft. And that is where the bitterness is, because the people who are doing this are known. They are known by the security agencies. They are known by the government. But the problem is continuously, it keeps on coming every year in out. So in as much as we are saying we are going the branding and the movement control, we still have this. It has a traditional connotation, and that's why I pick the issue with the Malakwet. But one thing that we really need to know is that we also have to know how to prevent the theft. It needs to come out in the bill here. And they cannot prevent it without involving strong security establishment in these areas. Madam Speaker, I expect in the bill to contain an aspect not only returning the animals, but also compensation. Madam Speaker, we can return the animals, but how many? It's like the bill is saying once you have put the branding, the animal will be gotten back, but I can assure you that not all the animals that are stolen are taken back. So we need to build in compensation. This is very important, because the community that have lost the animals, that is their livelihood. That's their food. That's their income. Children are educated through livestock selling. So really, we need in this bill to bring in the aspect of compensation and how the compensation will be. I know that could be an issue of regulations, but I think it is very, very, very important. Madam Speaker, the firearms. And we must speak this one very keenly and without fear. How do some communities acquire arms, and very lethal arms? So that now in Bori, we have the armored vehicles, but still these people come with other mechanized equipment. How do they acquire them? Who acquires them? Number three, we need to know that the cattle are stolen and they go over a long distance. If a cattle is stolen in a village here, it will traverse almost like 20 kilometers. So what's the problem of preventing the movement? Because the movement now here, it is like the moment, the way the bill is the movement of animals for sale. But we also need to be the movement of animals when the theft has taken place. The bill is silent on that. And we need to ensure how that one is going to be prevented. So, Madam Speaker, I have a problem, because who is going to meet the costs of identification? Who is going to meet the costs of the branding? What type of branding? We have to know through this bill. We have no traders in this country. They will come up with their items and say, we are going to install these items. What is the safety measure of that branding to our animals? We could put some items in our animals. We also have the human animal rights. So we have to know who are going to be the supplier of the branding equipment and how those ones are going to be tracked. So, Madam Speaker, I support, but with those observations, and I'm sure I will sit with Lahim so that we can also put some meat in what is missing. Lastly, Madam Speaker, there is the time limits. There is the time limits. What are the deadlines? The bill is silent on the time limits. I don't know how you're going to build it on that. Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I support, but with those amendments. I thank you.
Honorable Hassan Yusuf, member for Kamukunji.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this particular bill. And I want to say that there is something fundamental missing from this particular bill. If you look at the commonality, the common thread that links communities and regions that have cattle rustling, they have one thing in common, and that is the fact that there is widespread poverty, underdevelopment, marginalization, and exclusion. And so there are very serious socioeconomic problems in those communities that leads to some of this undesirable behavior that we want to regulate. And without understanding that, I think just creating a regulation out of emotion because you are so concerned about what is happening in that particular sector is not going to resolve that particular problem. This bill does not address any of those issues. This bill is trying to be punitive, to say that because we are not able to deal with this particular issue, and the state machineries in those regions have failed to govern and provide governance. There's widespread corruption and mismanagement in those regions that has created a gap between the community and the government of the day. So what I want to say is that there are many, many bills that are dealing with criminal prevention. Instead of creating a new bill, this House should be asking itself, why are these other bills not working? What is the reason? Because there are 101 bills that could deal with cattle rustling, and there is no need, in my poor judgment in this particular case, because I see there's some emotional representation here, there is no need for another bill. I would also think that because these communities are extremely poor and struggling for their survival every day, they're hit by droughts, their cattle die. Instead of imposing more restriction on them, like paying more money to branding, cattle die, cattle are sold every day. It just doesn't seem rational to me that you wouldn't want to impose a legislation that will demand a poor man who is struggling for, or poor woman who is struggling for her survival in rural pastoral societies of Kenya to pay more money, to spend more money on paperwork and legislation. And as you know, many of these legislations we pass here create jobs and opportunities for corrupt elements, which puts a lot of burden on our people. So I would like to say that we should not overburden our communities by over-legislation, and we should consider this bill unnecessary in the sense that it is not going to bring any good to our communities. So, Madam Speaker, I would like to say that this is an ill-advised bill, and it should be rejected by this House. Thank you.
The Honorable Esther Passaris, member for Nairobi County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to the prevention of livestock and produce theft bill, Senate Bill number 12, 2023, sponsored by Honorable Rahim Dawood. Honorable Speaker, one cannot reap where they did not sow, and that is exactly what livestock thefts represent. Taking what one has not worked for at the expense of another's livelihood is morally wrong. In many parts of Kenya, livestock is not just property. It is school fees, it is food security, it is dignity, it is survival. When livestock is stolen, families are pushed into deeper poverty. Communities are destabilized. I commend the mover and the co-sponsor for bringing forward this bill, particularly the provisions of registration, branding, movement permits, which will enhance traceability and accountability. However, as we support this bill, we must ensure that it's not overly punitive without being sufficiently preventive. Honorable Speaker, prevention requires adequate budgetary allocations. Without resources, even the best laws remain on paper. We must invest in modern livestock identification and tracking technologies, strengthen local enforcement systems, community-based surveillance mechanisms. We should also draw the best practices globally, where coordinated systems and technology have reduced livestock theft. Importantly, Honorable Speaker, we must look at localized solution and hotspot areas. The establishment of feedlots and water points in regions prone to livestock theft will reduce unnecessary movement of animals, which is when they are most vulnerable. Further, Honorable Speaker, we must strengthen intelligence-led prevention. Communities often know when theft is being planned and who is involved after the fact. I propose that we introduce a structured reward system for credible information on planned or past livestock thefts. When communities are empowered and incentivized to speak, we can disrupt criminal networks before theft occurs and hold perpetrators accountable. At the same time, we must ensure witness protection and confidentiality so that those who come forward are not exposed to retaliation. We must also address the root causes of poverty, youth unemployment, organized criminal networks. If we fail to do so, we risk punishing the symptoms while leaving the cause intact. Honorable Speaker, we must guard against duplication of laws and ensure harmonization of existing frameworks to avoid confusion and weaken enforcement. Finally, implementation must be practical. Many small-scale farmers and pastoralists operate informally. Compliance mechanisms must be accessible, affordable, and supportive, not punitive to those we seek to protect. Honorable Speaker, this is a good bill. Let us strengthen it to ensure it is preventive, practical, properly resourced, and truly effective in protecting livestock. With those remarks, I support the bill.
Members, just to note that, as you may be aware, this bill is from the Senate. It's a co-sponsored bill. When you listen to many people who are contributing, it tends to move towards becoming a money bill. So for the Honorable Dawood to note, the Honorable Timothy Toroitich, member for Marakwet West. Before the Honorable Toroitich, member for Marakwet, honorable members, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our guests seated in the public gallery this afternoon. We have students from MCK St. John's sponsored learners group from Buri constituency in Meru County. You are welcome to the National Assembly to continue observing proceedings of the House. The member for Buri, would you like to welcome? Although I was not able to see them, I hope they are seated there. Member for Buri, would you like to welcome students from your constituency for 2 minutes?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to welcome these beautiful children from Bore constituency and tell you we really admire you, we love you, we knew you are coming. This is the House of Parliament where we make laws that govern this nation. This is your member of Parliament where he sits. And I want to tell you, one of you in future could be the future leader and member of Parliament to come here. We want you to learn how this house conducts its businesses. We are aware that you are striving to make your life. Please know, doctors will come from that class, doctors will come from that school, doctors will come from all the schools that are in body. So please feel welcome. Feel welcome. I will see you by the tent. Madam Speaker, these are very nice students. They are very good people. We love you. Please, you're most welcome. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much. Good luck behind the tent. You may proceed, member of the Honorable Toritich. Members of this house know what it means. Good luck behind the tent with your students.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to comment on this very, very important bill. That is the Prevention of Livestock and Produce Theft Bill 2023 by my good friend, Honorable Rahim Dahoud. Honorable Speaker, I would congratulate him for such a progressive piece of legislation. Honorable Speaker, this bill seeks to provide a legal framework for the identification of livestock, the movement of livestock, the prevention of livestock theft, the regulation of trade in livestock, the return of illegally acquired livestock and firearms, and for connected purposes. Honorable Speaker, from the onset, government has an obligation to protect the life and the property of its people. Sometimes, Honorable Speaker, we forget that Parliament is government, that government is the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And therefore, as a government, as Parliament, we have that obligation to protect the property of our people. And the property includes livestock. Honorable Speaker, however, in this country, Honorable Speaker, the problem is not the number of laws that we pass. I have tried to look at the existing legislations. Among others, Honorable Speaker, we have the Stock and Produce Theft Act, we have the Penal Code, we have the Trespass Act, we have the Cattle Cleansing Act, and so many other legislations that provide a legal framework that that deal with the subject matter that we want to enforce here in Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, however, this issue of registration of livestock, the issue of branding, the issue of movement is not a foreign concept. Honorable Speaker, other African countries have adopted this mode of branding, registration, and movement. In South Africa, for example, Honorable Speaker, South Africa have a law known as the Animal Identification Act of 2002. Honorable Speaker, this law in South Africa makes it mandatory for livestock owners, that is those who have cattle, sheep, goats, and big pigs, to mark animals with registered brands, that is hot iron, or freeze branding, to prove ownership and deter theft. So, Honorable Speaker, South Africa has an entire legal framework, has a legislation known as Animal Identification Act of 2002. Honorable Speaker, Senegal has a law that provides a national identification system. Uganda, Honorable Speaker, has a digital livestock tracking system. Rwanda, Honorable Speaker, has a digital database for all their cows. That is in Rwanda. Just to mention a few countries in Africa, Honorable Speaker, for comparative analysis to show that this is not a foreign concept. Honorable Speaker, I come from a region where we've been affected by cattle rustling. And, Honorable Speaker, there cannot be peace or there cannot be development when matters such as cattle rustling still reign supremacy in certain areas in this country. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, we must find a way of having a legal framework, having a law. There is nothing wrong, Honorable Speaker, with having a legislation to brand our cattle, to brand our livestock. There is nothing wrong to have a permit to ensure that a framework of movement of livestock is provided for. Honorable Speaker, there is nothing wrong with registering our livestock. The only challenge, Honorable Speaker, is will we pass a law that tomorrow will be in the shelves because you've properly guided us, Honorable Speaker, that this is a money bill. And therefore, it will involve we have to appropriate funds in this house. We have to have some money in the exchequer to be able to actualize this law. Honorable Speaker, before I give my proposal, Honorable Speaker, the other day before I joined Parliament, there was a matter I was handling in court. And it was about the issue of theft involving banditry. Honorable Speaker, so what happened is the prosecutor brought some cow skin in court. And the defense lawyer was asking the complainant to identify whether that skin of a cow belongs to him or not. And of course, he said it was yes. And therefore, that honor was prevailed by the court to prove that that skin is actually belongs to his cow. And the complainant could not prove. But if there was branding, Honorable Speaker, that skin of that particular cow would easily be identified by the court. So, Honorable Speaker, there is some element of wisdom in enacting this particular legislation to provide for branding, for registration, and for movement. Honorable Speaker, but again, this is a money bill. Honorable Speaker, I would not mind being
That is Professor.
Informed by the very learned
Would
professor.
you like to be informed?
Yes, Honorable Speaker, by the professor.
Yes, thank you so much, Honorable Member, for your well-articulated contribution to the matter on the floor of the House. But I just wanted to inform my honorable brother that cows don't have skins, they have hides. So the point of identification must have been a hide. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, I am well guided, Honorable Speaker. So I replace the word skin with hide. Honorable Speaker, be that as it may, the issue was mentioned, Honorable Speaker, was the issue of money bill. My proposal would be, we already have a law known as the Stock and Stock and Produce Theft Act. Honorable Speaker, we can convert this bill to regulations so that we have this bill converted to regulations or a regulation and be placed under the Stock and Produce money bill for the purposes of ease in terms of implementation and also in terms of resource allocation. Honorable Speaker, with those few remarks, I support this particular legislation, but with a rider that we would consider it converting into regulations in the near future. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Amina Mnyazi, member for Malindi.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, nasimama hapa kuunga mkono mswada wa kuweza kuepuka masuala ya wizi wa mifugo. Mheshimiwa Spika, kama unavyojua masuala ya mifugo, sisi kama Wakenya, sisi kama Waafrika tumeweza kuweka kipaumbele. Mheshimiwa Spika, masuala ya mifugo katika sehemu zingine za Kenya ndizo ambazo ndio biashara yenye ambayo inayolisha familia nzima, inayosomesha watoto shule na inaweza kuwapatia watu mahitaji yao ya kila siku waweze kujisaidia. Mheshimiwa Spika, kule mahali ambapo natoka ambao ni sehemu ya Pwani na sehemu ya Malindi, Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka nieleze ya kwamba masuala ya mifugo sisi tunayafanya, lakini hatufanyi kwa idadi ya wanyama wengi. Na kwa sababu nimeweza kuipitia huu mswada Mheshimiwa Spika, na niko na vitu venye ambavyo vimeweza kunigusa jicho langu na ni vizuri niweze kujieleza. Mheshimiwa Spika, naona hakuna shida ya watu kuweza kujiandikisha majina na kuweza kuregister, kwa sababu hiyo ndio ambayo itatupatia sisi nafasi ya kuweza kujua ni nani mwenye hiyo mifugo na hiyo mifugo inaweza kupatikaniwa wapi. Mheshimiwa Spika, shida yangu pia si masuala ya kuweka chapa kwa hawa wanyama ama hawa mifugo, kwa sababu pale ambapo vituko vinapotokea, kama vile wazungumzaji wenzangu walivyotangulia kusema, unaweza kujua kama hawa mifugo ni yako au la kwa kupitia zile chapa zenye ambazo zimeweza kuwekwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, pia naunga mkono masuala ya usafirishaji mifugo kulingana na huu mswada venye ambavyo umeweza kuletwa hapa mbele yetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, kile kitu ambacho ningeomba Mheshimiwa Spika na yule ambao ameweza kuleta huu mswada hapa mbele yetu ni kwamba maneno yote haya ambayo yameweza kutajika hapa yasiende baadaye, Mheshimiwa Spika, yakawa ni gharama kwa yule mkulima mwenye ambaye yuko kule chini mashinani, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa sababu haya yote kama yanaweza kupatikaniwa katika gharama ya kueleweka, Mheshimiwa Spika, watu wetu kule chini hawatalalamika sana. Lakini kama gharama ya kuweza kufanya mambo yote haya itarudi kwa yule mwananchi na iweze kumkandamiza yule mfugaji, then Mheshimiwa Spika, itakuwa si jambo la kufurahika. Mheshimiwa Spika, wacha ieleweke kama tunazungumza kuhusu farmers. Kuna wakulima wa aina nyingi, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na leo hii sisi tunazungumza kuhusu wakulima wa mifugo. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, wacha ieleweke ya kwamba kule Malindi ambapo mimi natoka na watu wangu wanapotoka, kuna vita baina ya wafugaji ama ukulima wa wanyama na wale wakulima wenye ambao wanapanda mimea. Mheshimiwa Spika, nimekuwa na kesi si moja, si mbili, si tatu, sehemu za Jilore, sehemu za Magarini. Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna wafugaji wenye ambao wanakuja kule, Mheshimiwa Spika, na wanaona kwamba wale locals ama wale watu wa pale wamepanda mimea yao. Mheshimiwa Spika, watu wa kwetu, Mheshimiwa Spika, wanaishi kwa kupanda mahindi, kwa kupanda tomato, kwa kupanda viazi katika mashamba yao. Kile kitu ambacho kinatokelezea, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kwamba wafugaji wengi ama kumekuwa na kesi nyingi za kwamba wafugaji wanaingia katika mashamba ya wale watu ambao wanafanya ukulima wa mimea. Mheshimiwa Spika, na nimezungumza na ndugu yangu ambaye ameweza kuleta huu mswada, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa sababu jambo hili tusipoweza kuliangazia, kama kule Malindi kumekuwa na kesi za watu kupigana mapanga, watu kutaka kuuana kwa sababu kuna wafugaji ambao wamekuja pale wanataka kulisha ng'ombe zao na wanyama wao, na kuna wale ambao wamepanda bidhaa zao na wanataka kwenda kuziuza. Mheshimiwa Spika, ningeweza kuzungumza na ambaye waweza kuleta mswada, Mheshimiwa Spika, tuangalie pia wale wafugaji wa mimea wasiweze kupoteza haki yao. Mheshimiwa Spika, tunapotetea wale wafugaji wa mifugo waweze kulisha wanyama wao, tunawasupport pia katika miswada yao, lakini haimaanishi ya kwamba yule mfugaji wa mmea, Mheshimiwa Spika, ndio aweze kunyamazishwa ama asiweze kupata haki yake. Mheshimiwa Spika, naunga mkono huu mswada, lakini lazima tuweze kuweka marekebisho, tuweze kuongeza maneno mawili matatu ili kuhakikisha ya kwamba haki ya mfugaji wa mmea na haki ya mfugaji wa wanyama ziwe ziko sawa na wawe hawezi kututanishwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hayo machache, asante sana.
Asante. Mheshimiwa Rashid Benziba, mbunge wa Kisauni.
Asante sana Madam Speaker kunipa na mimi fursa hii kuchangia mswada huu wa kuzuia wizi wa mifugo katika eneo letu ama nchi yetu ya Kenya. Kwa kweli mimi nimesimama kuzungumzia mswada huu kwa kutilia nguvu, kwa sababu mimi nimefanya kazi ya askari wa GSU kwa miaka kama 9, na nilichukua na bahati ya kwenda kulinda sehemu ambao kulikuwa na wizi wa mifugo kama vile Chepchoina, Japata, Kakuma na sehemu zingine hizo. Kwa kweli mimi namshukuru Mheshimiwa Daudi kwa kuleta mswada huu, kwa sababu wizi wa mifugo si wizi tu, lakini kila wizi unapotokea na maisha ya watu wanapotea. Na askari wengi sana wa GSU wamepoteza maisha yao kwa sababu ya wizi wa mifugo. Kwa hivyo kufuata, kuzuia, kwa sababu wale watu wameishi na mifugo, wanajua, wana mbinu, wana hikma za kuingia ndani ya mifugo bila wewe kujua kwamba yuko pale ndani. Wakati mazingira ndio wanatokeza na wako na silaha za moto ambazo zinaleta maafa ya mauaji na mengineo na majeruhi. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kwamba ni vyema sana amekuja na mfumo wa kwamba kuwe na chapa. Ni vizuri kukiwa na chapa, kwa sababu anapomchukua yule mfugo kukimbia naye, saa ingine namtatiza kwenda, la kwanza ni kutoa ile chapa, la pili ni kwamba inakuwa ni vigumu kwa sababu hata ile chapa itakavyopigwa itakuwa imeshikana na nyama, kwa hivyo ni ngumu kwamba yeye kusafisha. Lazima atakuwa na wasiwasi wa kujua kwamba si rahisi tu kuiba mnyama mfugo, kwa sababu kuna kitu ambacho kinadhihirisha kwamba hii mnyama ama huyu mfugo si wake. Kwa hivyo ni vyema sana, nakubaliana kwamba kuwe na chapa, lakini chapa hiyo isiyo ya gharama, kwa sababu wengi wa mifugo wanaofuga, wafugaji wengine hawana uwezo, wengine hata ni wazee sana ambao hata vitambulisho hawana. Iwe ni kitu ambacho jeshi la utawala kama subchief au atachukua jukumu la kwamba wale wanyama ama mifugo ya mzee fulani yanapigwa chapa bure na malipo yao yanatoka katika county government. Na pia si vibaya kujua kwamba wale mifugo mtu fulani aliyoko nao ni mingapi, na kama amezaa yule mfugo anapeleka ripoti ya kuonyesha kwamba huyu sasa alikuwa na 100, sasa ako na 101, alikuwa na 20, ili kusudi kwa bahati mbaya ama nzuri ikija mifugo zaidi ya 100, then hapo ana sababu ya kueleza yale mengine yametoka wapi. Kwa hivyo ni vizuri sana kuzuia, kwa sababu sehemu zile ziko na wizi wa mifugo zinarudi nyuma, haziendelei, na watu wengi hawakai huko kwa sababu wana wasiwasi kwamba wakati wowote wanyama wao ama mifugo yao itakuja chukuliwa. Kwa hivyo ikiwa tutasaidia hiyo, itasaidia pia maafisa wa usalama kwamba wanajua sasa kuna oda ama kuna taratibu ambazo si rahisi mtu kuweza kuchukua hiyo mifugo ya mwenyewe. Kwa kweli, Mheshimiwa Spika, kama kule kwetu wengi mifugo wanaingia katika mashamba ya watu. Hakuna wizi sana wa mifugo, lakini wanaingia katika mashamba ya watu, wanakula mimea, wanakula mahindi, na mara mingi wale wachungaji huwa wamechukua mifugo ya watu kama 10 ameweka pamoja na chunga. Lakini ni vizuri zikiwa na chapa, tutajua mwenye mfugo huyu ni nani, na ni rahisi aidha bwana chifu ama koti kuweza kumhukumu, kwa sababu anaonekana kwamba mfugo wake amehusika katika mambo haya. Kwa ukweli, Madam Speaker, hili jambo limekuwa donda sugu katika taifa. Mpaka sasa tumechukua hata majeshi ya taifa la Kenya sasa wanaenda kupigana na wezi wa mifugo. Sasa imekuwa ni hatari zaidi, mpaka tumeshuka sasa, tuenda badala ya jeshi kulinda mipaka yetu, sasa jeshi wanatumika kulinda wizi wa mifugo. Lazima hili jambo likomeshwe ili kusudi watu sasa waende katika mfumo mwingine. Na pia serikali wahakikishe kwamba sehemu zile ziko na wizi wa mifugo, wahakikishe kwamba wanaweka maendeleo makubwa, kuweka viwanda, watu waachane pia na mambo mengine, waanze kuangalia hali za kulingana na mambo ya maendeleo yanayoendelea hivi sasa katika dunia. Kwa hivyo, Madam Speaker, mimi nimesimama kuipongeza mswada huu, na ningeomba tusizungumze tu, lakini serikali itie nguvu kuhakikisha kwamba jambo hili linatekelezwa ili wizi wa mifugo ikome kabisa. Asante sana, Madam Speaker.
Bunge wa Baringo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also want to take this opportunity to thank and congratulate a member, my colleague, who has brought this bill from the Senate, Honorable Daud. And I must say, this is a timely bill, Madam Speaker. Having come from Baringo, where we have been having a lot of problems and issues of cattle stealing and banditry. And as I go through this bill, Madam Speaker, I realized that the mover of the bill described very well on the importance of branding, which is going to give farmers of livestock the good reason to have and preserve their livestock. Madam Speaker, I also want to say that formulating national policy is going to give assurance to farmers and enable them to be able to grow their livestock and keep them safe. The branding is going to also enable the owners of the livestock to be able to identify in case of theft, and also when they are recovering them, in case of any debt from the bandits, for instance, in Baringo and other places. And this is, in my opinion, Madam Speaker, is one of the progressive bill, and I want to support. And I would probably want to say maybe we should add more on public participation so that the farmers are able to understand, especially when you talk about the county formulation, where they have to register in the counties and be part and parcel of the process of keeping this livestock. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, the Honorable Decor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. I intend to contribute to this bill by saying that from the onset, I want to oppose the bill as it is. One, Madam Speaker, is the practicability of the implementation of this bill. In that the bill looks to me that it was only taking into account there are two types of livestock producers in this country. We have the pastoralists, and we have these small-scale livestock keepers who do dairy farming and that kind of production. And I think it did not take into consideration the other part of this country that has a huge number of animals of different types, in that the reality on the ground that this bill is not practicable in any way. As it is, as on the ground now, Madam Speaker, our animals in pastoral communities are branded, they have marks, and the communities there identify and know which type of this brand is for, or which community or which clan of these animals come from. So branding 1,000 or 2,000 per community or per family of 1,000 goats and 300 cows and 200 camels is not realistic in that sense. In that it's going to be very expensive if we go with a modern way of branding these animals. The issue of cattle wrestling in this country is confined to a very small area of this country. The North Rift is where this problem is. In our region of northern Kenya, we have minimum cattle rustling or animal theft in that region. And that is a cultural issue, that the government needs to address that issue and not do this kind of wholesome condemnation of this problem. Madam Speaker, the issue of registering these animals, if I have 100 animals, for example, and I've registered them, and I want to sell, and we don't sell some of these animals in markets, we do local trades in the vicinities we are in. It is not possible for me or a farmer, a pastoralist, to move from one area to go and sell this animal, then report to the nearest available administrative units or offices or the branding people to tell them that I have sold this animal to so and so. It means that person who bought that animal again needs to go and register it, does his own branding, and this is going to be a cumbersome issue, Madam Speaker. We already have existing laws. Why don't we strengthen the laws that exist in that to be able to address the issue of cattle wrestling? Madam Speaker, for example, in our community when we are marrying, the dowry that we pay are in the form of animals. If I give my in-laws a certain number of animals, it means that they come out of my stock, then they add into their stock. How is that practicable, Madam Speaker? So the reality is that this issue, or the bill as it is, the registering, monitoring, this is not realistic. We have laws that are in place that we need to address, that we need to input, that we need to strengthen so that we address the issue. Because the intention here is to address cattle wrestling. That is the main thing. So it is going to be too expensive again, Madam Speaker, for the farmer down there that has so many cows, so many goats, and so many camels. Madam Speaker, again, in a family, the head of the family as the father has sons that he allocates each animal to a son. it means that each one who's been allocated that animal must also do his own branding. So, Madam Speaker, on that, I think this is not possible, and I oppose this bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Shakil Shabir, member for Kisumu East.
Thank you, Madam. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, change always has a reaction. Madam Speaker, it is not the issue of branding that is the problem. The issue is of identification of animals. I come from Kisumu East, and a number of our animals are stolen, especially between Nandis and ourselves, and they are taken very far, and they are taken to butcheries, and they are illegally butchered. Madam Speaker, now many countries, even in Africa, you have to tag your pet, whether it's a dog or a cat. They even have passports for these animals. In Europe and many of these other countries, animals are not branded. There is a small tag that is put in under their ear. That tag is a locator. That tag follows that animal in respect of its health and in respect of in transportation. If you give that animal or sell it to another, all you do is you electronically change the tag, like on M-Pesa. We, Madam Chair, Madam Speaker, are very articulate on M-Pesa and IT. We are on Citizen, we are on so many other issues. And I think that one of the issues that we want to talk about is the identification of animals so that we can be able to track them, so that those which are cattle rustled are sorted out. And it's not only cattle, Madam Speaker, they're camels, they're goats, they're lamb, they're sheep. And I take livestock, they are pigs. Each of these items, they does not require 2,000 shillings to do this. Madam Speaker, I have a dog or 2 dogs at home, and I have to register them with the City Council of Nairobi. And I see no problem where those members of the nomadic clan who know their animals by name, even if there's 1,000 animals, the nomads, and I'm an adopted Maasai, and I do understand the way the Maasai identify their animals. The point of the issue is that we not need, and my dear late departed friend, Honorable Ngeno, at one time, and there are others, members of parliament, who used to at one time, they were so committed that they would be following the cattle rustling with AK-47, people with AK-47s to go and find where their cattle are. There is no difficulty. And in fact of the matter is, it would take very little for the cattle to be identified by way of a small SIM or something that would be put in their ear. After all, many of these cattle herders are vaccinating their cattle, and many of them are taking these things forward. And I remember, Madam Speaker, this government also proposed certain inoculations or certain treatment of cattle that were, I think, not more than a year or 2 years ago, which was also fought very strongly. And I think that was only so that we could inoculate them against certain particular diseases, and also of, I think, what is it called, passing of unnecessary gases that were not good for the environment. So I see no reason why our nomadic brothers are against this particular proposal. Yes, there will be a small element of financial thing, but that financial element would be captured by the owner of the cattle. And it would be good for them because they would be able to logically know how many cattle they have. Anyway, Madam Speaker, I know some of these cattle herders use a list, don't want people to know how many cattle they have and where they got them from. And that is maybe one of the reasons why some of them, and they make excuse for what is cattle rustling as not theft. Theft is theft, Madam Speaker. There is no doubt about it. Some of these people, some of these cattle are used for money laundering. Madam Speaker, I'm speaking as the chair of APNAC, the African Parliamentarians Against Corruption. You know, Madam, this animal stocking is used as money laundering. So they use their ill-gotten ways and go and buy cattle and livestock and then sell them on the market and then come back with this money, and they've laundered that money. So I think this is why many of these people who are many of the larger cattle holders would not mind. I think even the smaller holders of cattle would not mind to know how many cattle there are, what is the name of their cow, what is the name of their bull, what is the name of their camel, where that camel is. After all, Madam Speaker, my nephews, we purchased a little share of an animal called a whale. And that whale, I have it on my phone. Where the whale is going all over the world, we can follow that whale. So I see no reason why we cannot have some sort of identification of our livestock. Madam Speaker, it costs us less than 50 shillings to get a SIM card. It will cost us less than that to tag the animal on the ear. Madam Speaker, I'm an honorary game warden. We have tracked our major animals like elephants, lions, and rhinos. And I can tell you, Madam Speaker, even now, where a certain rhino is, and we track that rhino, we track that elephant, and other people can also track them. So I see no reason why there is an objection from our colleagues who are from the nomadic areas. They want to remain on that custom that has been there for centuries upon centuries. Yet we are giving them an option to see how they can modernize. After all, Madam Speaker, these nomadic herdsmen are always, they've got their phones. They're on M-Pesa. They know where to take their animals for grazing. It's all done electronically. And I don't see why there is an objection at this moment in time. Madam Speaker, I want to re-emphasize the point that this animal loss, whether you call it cattle rustling or whatever, and purchase of cattle, purchase of livestock, has been used to launder money and launder illicit money. And I think that is one of the reasons we would like to know who buys what, where from, and how. After all, all our transactions on M-Pesa are now recorded. The KRA knows what we are doing, and we want to pay our tax. And we want to pay what is our regular tax that we feel is important. That does not exclude our colleagues who have thousands and thousands of cattle. And then, of course, in the drought, when these cattle are lost, there is an identification of what is lost. So you can then go to insurance and come and claim a specific loss. I have a cattle identified number so-and-so, died here or was stolen here, and that is an identifiable item that you can raise under insurance. With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I thank you. I support.
Honorable Zambia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I really thank you for the support you've given. Now, Madam Speaker, I want to kindly, okay, I will spare some few minutes for you. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this bill, though from where I see it, the issue of identification is not the main concern here. Because you might have been thinking that it's only in Pokot and the northern part of Kenya where livestock theft is rampant. I want to surprise you, Madam Speaker, that in my constituency, and especially in one ward, we call Malili, where we host the concert Techno City, livestock theft is rampant. And when you talk of identification, I want to suggest that this is not the main cause of, this one will not prevent the livestock theft. Because I can cite an example where there was a recent incident where, because there have been a lot of theft within the last 2 years, we have been reporting this instance to the authorities, that is the police stations, even with the culprits as hand. What I'm trying to suggest is that if we can do away with the corruption in this country, because some of the people who are stealing these livestock, most of them have been identified, they are taken to the police custody, and at the end of the day, you realize that they have been released or they have been set free. What happened last month is that now the people themselves, my constituents, they got 3 thieves. And what they did, they just banned them. And from that time, I think there will be no incident of cattle theft. So, Madam Speaker, what this bill should be looking at is enforcement, security enforcement, because right now, as we speak, and I've said it, that when these thieves were marshaled by my constituents, it has not taken a bit of some relief from my constituents. So, Honorable Speaker, and I'm talking of one of of my wards, that is Kimakiu Kalanzoni ward, which nears the concert Techno City. Madam Speaker, the issue of identification, I want to repeat that, is not the main cause. So, as we look into this bill, we should look into more of the enforcement, security enforcement. And Madam Speaker, it's a matter of concern. It has been happening in northern eastern and areas to do with the Pokot and the Turkana. Madam Speaker, what we need to do is to make sure that we have special units and theft police who are also very well trained. And what they are supposed to do, and as I have stated, the main problem is corruption. You find that some of these officers are compromised, making it difficult to make any difference. So, Madam Speaker,
Order, Honorable Zambia. Honorable Zambia will have a balance of 6 minutes. If you so wish to come to the House so that you can continue with this debate. Honorable members, and the time now being 1 p.m., this House stands adjourned until Wednesday, 15th April 2026 at 2:30 p.m.